Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. The word legend is bandied about and used a little much, but you defined it with your kindness and a human touch. Meeting a true gunner like you was such a wonderful gift. From day one, your energy gave me a life high and a major lift. You embraced this Greek girl from the streets of Palmer's Green. Your friendship lifted me up and made me feel so seen. From a football studio in Los Angeles, where we actually first met, who knew years later we'd build our own podcast set? The Highbury Squad really took flight during a rough COVID time. We built an authentic community together, which is really, truly beyond sublime. They labeled themselves Squaddies and made friendships through live chat, talked among themselves as we debated this and that. We grew to love them all over the years that followed. But now you're gone and everything just feels so sorrowed. I will never forget our debates, whether heated or agreed. We created something special. Our show was a different breed. During the early days of Nicol, there was so much passion and fire. They called you deluded, Arteta's lawyer, and Super Kev Esquire. Win, lose or draw, you always remained so positive. Your analysis of the game we love was measured and evocative. I'll hold on to the times where you'd shout out loud, Sophie, 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 and believe like you the Arsenal will one day deliver that elusive Premier League trophy. When I think about our conversations and how there'll be no more, I'll watch old episodes to hear your voice as you knock on heaven's door. There'll be no Monday Madness or other shows with you by my side, but I'll be eternally grateful for the time we had and this insane squaddy ride. We know you'll keep an eye on us from the best seat up above. We promise to follow your inspirational message about kindness and love. For now, I'll ask the angels nicely, look after our special legend, please. Thank you for the beautiful memories. Now Super Kev, at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Highbury Squad. Thank you to everyone who is joining us this evening. Squaddies, at ease, at ease. I couldn't think of better wingmen to have with me this evening, and there'll be a few joining us as we go along the broadcast. First up, he's helped me put this whole thing together, pictures, videos, a whole bunch of stuff. One of your favorites, Mr. Magic Mike. Welcome, Magic.
Sophie, I wish this was under different circumstances, but I am honored. I am gutted. I am just, this hopefully will be a cathartic way for us to all deal with what's been an awful loss. But we have all been worried about the two of you who are absolutely the closest to Kevin that of anyone that I know. And I know what you guys have been through, but I'm honored to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing some wonderful things and appreciate you having me.
And during a time where things were really hard, thank goodness I had Lee so we could go back and forth and talk. And one of Kevin's closest friends as well. Welcome, Mr. Lee Judges, to Squad Central at ease.
At ease. Honoured is the word to be here tonight. Honoured.
All right, so here's how the evening's going to go. We have some amazing humans who have agreed to pop into the studio live and talk about Super Kev. We also have a whole bunch of messages from people. that we'll be sharing with you as well. And I couldn't think of a better person to be joining us this evening. Mike, are we going to play a couple videos first and then bring John in? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were so overwhelmed with amazing videos. We didn't want to leave any of them out. We may end up having to leave some out if we, if we run long. So apologies in advance if anyone that submitted a video doesn't get it played, but we will be releasing a kind of a video compilation, which likely will be upwards of an hour on the channel that people can watch if they'd like to see everything. But we are going to start with a video from someone that I am sure you will all know. And with that being said, here we go.
Hi, this is Andrew from Arseblog. I never had the privilege of meeting Kevin Campbell in real life, but I was lucky enough to be on the Highbury Squad podcast a few times with Kevin and Sophie. And first time I went on, I remember feeling a bit nervous because this is an Arsenal legend. This is Kevin Campbell, but he made me feel very much at ease. He was always warm and welcoming, and we had great chats about football, great chats about Arsenal, the club that we all love. And even if we disagreed on something, it was honest, it was open, it was respectful above all else. And in this contentious online world we live in, where furious anger appears to be the way too many people carry out their football discussions, Kevin was an example to so many of us. I also think the work he's done on the podcast with you guys, so many of you on your YouTube channels and on your podcast, has allowed a new generation, or many new generations of Arsenal fans, to get to know Kevin Campbell the person, but also remember Kevin Campbell the footballer. What a great player he was for Arsenal. What contributions he made to this football club with his performances, with his goal scoring. And it's amazing that many more people will remember him on a personal level because of that work that he did with you. So my sympathies to all of you, but especially to Kevin's family and very, very many friends. Rest in peace, Kevin.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew with always, has the right way with words. Someone else who has a very good way with words is one of our rotating co-hosts this evening. That's joining us now. So wanted to bring Tom. Obviously, you all know Tom from the Gooner Talk TV. Tom, good to see you.
Likewise. How you doing?
Never seen you this Natalie dressed before. Well, I guess I went to.
Well, Tom didn't have a bow tie, so
no, it's the best I can do. So.
Yeah, I've never seen him dressed like that, and I went to his wedding.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple more videos before we go to John, but Tom, I mean, take it away. This is Kev's memorial.
Yeah, I mean, I was on holiday when I, got the message, and it was at the point where my holiday in Italy was coming to a close, and it was a pure shocking moment, for me, because it wasn't like, your players pass away, and we've gone through, periods where we've lost some very important people, but I always felt the difference with Kev was the difference that he made with us, and ultimately that connection that a fan can have with any player, be it from a current generation or previous generations, was just transcended by Kev because of the effort and the time and the kindness that he gave to us and each other. The amount of times I'd obviously met Kev through both Lee and Sophie, who introduced me, and obviously with Mike yourself as well, where we'd have some fun times. I remember the Watford game, of course, at the 12 Pins, where a rather large pint was spilled all over me. As I think Mike was desperately trying to get a photo with Kevin. That's what it was.
It was not my fault. I'm dying on that hill.
I mean, it was so much your fault that you offered to buy me a new shirt on the spot, which we realised we couldn't do because the shops were closed. But Kev was there and obviously took time to take photos with all the fans that were there, and that's always been something about Kev, is the openness of his time and the generosity of his time that he provided in the press lounge. As someone obviously the privilege of going in there, and I'd see Kev working for a multitude of different media outlets. If he was ever with a presenter or a fellow pundit, as soon as I said hello, he'd be like, "Tom, this is so and so. Meet Tom." Would introduce me straight away. Again, just highlighting the class of KC. And I think that this moment and this last couple of weeks has hit me most because whilst this show is fantastic and the outpouring of support and kind messages in the last 2 weeks has been great, I think the biggest message and the biggest lesson perhaps it's taught me is that I need to learn to appreciate more people when they're around, and so I can tell them when they're around how amazing they are. Because whilst it is absolutely glorious to see the messages that we're seeing for Kev, you know, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, I probably didn't tell the guy enough how much of a brilliant person he was when he was with us. And so I will certainly be taking that lesson forwards with me and telling my closest friends always how important they are to me.
Well said. Well said.
Okay, our next video, Tom. Well said. Well said. You know, Kevin loved all of you guys, and you meant the world to him. And if there was anything that he did flawlessly, was support people from the bottom of his heart without asking for anything in return. And I know someone who's hugely affected by the loss of Kevin, and that is his youth FA Cup captain, Mr. David Hillier.
Wow, I didn't expect to be making a video today. Obviously at the weekend I had the devastating news that my brother and lifelong dear friend Kevin passed away after an illness that, you know, must have been horrific for him and his family. So first of all, I want to send my condolences to his family, his children, and it's just absolutely devastating. I mean, if it's devastating for me, it must be horrific for those people closest to him. But I never felt far away from Kev. We grew up together, played our first match against each other when I was 10 years old. And then at 12 joined Arsenal. 14 schoolboys, 16 apprentices, and then we were both fortunate enough to be pros. Kevin was a fantastic player. Strength, pace, power, but he always played happy. Kev lived his life happy. If there's one thing I will always remember about Kev, it'll be that smile and how he lit up a room. Not just with his presence, his physical presence, but he just exuded happiness. And I'm sure he wasn't happy all the time, but he wanted everybody else to be happy. That was his number one goal in life, to make everyone that he came in contact with happy. Fantastic servant for every club he played for. No one has got a bad word to say about Kevin, because there is nothing bad to say about Kevin. 54 is a ridiculously young age for someone like Kev to go, but God wanted another angel. And he's got one. So I just want to say how much I love him, have always loved him. Sorry. And we will meet again. KC, Rambo, Big Kev. I love you, man. My love goes to your family. And while you're looking down on us, smiling, probably laughing, I know you're not in pain no more. And I know you're an angel. Right by God's side. So stay strong, my friend, up there. We'll all be coming. And we all want to see you. And we all want to see that smile. So, I'm going to say it, Kev. At ease, my friend. Rest well. I love you.
That was a tough one. They've been friends since they were kids, and They loved everything about the Arsenal, those two. And if you've missed any of our shows with David and Super Kev, you can find them on the channel. They're brilliant. Their stories are incredible and totally amazing. I couldn't think of a better person to kick off our live guests. One of Kev's best friends in the whole world. You may have heard Super Kev refer to him and tell funny stories whenever we played Liverpool about his friend Red Nose John. Let's bring John in.
Hi, Soph. Hi, guys. Hi, Lee.
Hi, John.
I haven't met the rest of you. I know Lee and I know Sophie. I know Lee well. This is pretty tough. And you're going to have to... I didn't expect to feel this emotional, but I do. I heard your tribute at the beginning, Sophie. I thought it was beautiful. Unbelievable, really. Kev genuinely was the closest thing to a brother I've ever had. And it's interesting because I see this word like best friend thrown around on social media and whatever. And I have no right to say I was Kev's best friend. I don't know if I was. He had so many friends. I don't. He was my best friend.
He was definitely up there, John. He's definitely up there.
Oh my, he loved you so much, John.
I know, but he was the closest thing to a brother I had. So from my side, he was that important. So he's ripped a hole. Him going has ripped a hole in my life. I didn't play football with him. I didn't work with him that closely like you guys have done. But he and I we had an entwined life that, for the last, I met Kev in 2004, 2003, 2004. And I think we virtually texted, WhatsApp, if WhatsApp was about then, texted, WhatsApp, spoke every day since then, or saw each other. We lived walking distance from each other for years and years and years. So our lives were so entwined. So the fact he's gone suddenly, although I know he's been ill for a few months and I've been involved with that and I've been concerned and whatever, like you probably, I just thought Kevin Campbell will sort it out. He'll come through. So it was still a shock when this happened on Saturday. And it's just blown a hole in my life and I think your lives and everything. And it's shocking. But the only one thing I would have thought, I wish he could have seen, I know we know he was loved, but if you could see this outpouring of love for him from all parts of the globe and every football team imaginable, not one person has got a negative word to say about him. And I think what it shows is the guy that you saw with the bow tie and the smiley face on TV is exactly the same guy as you bump into in the street or in Sainsbury's. That's what he was. There was no, Sophie said it, there was no something about, Sophie said earlier, no one said any bad words because there were no bad words to say about him. He was just him. And I've got so many stories that I could tell you about him, and I won't take up your time. I'm going to tell you one story about him, about his morals, about the way he was, that I think you might like. And it's not a funny story. It's just a story that always stuck in my mind. So when I first met Kev, not long after, a while after I met Kev, our boys were best friends as well. Tyrese and James were best friends. And they played football together all the way through the teams. And one day there was a massive tournament in Manchester with loads of pitches sponsored by McDonald's. That's a bit of an irony, isn't it? So all the kids getting fit and McDonald's are sponsoring it. But they were all playing on the pitch. And Lee Sharp was there. And he turned up. He was, I think, employed by McDonald's to be the face of it. And he was great. He came down, signing autographs. He was mobbed by kids. And Kev and I were standing watching James and Ty on a pitch the other side. And I think Lee saw an opportunity to split the crowd and get people to give himself a bit of a break. He said, there's another Premier League footballer over there, Kevin Campbell. So half the kids broke off and ran around the pitches and came to me and Kev. Well, they came to Kev, not me. So they ran around the pitches. They came to Kev. And he's signing it. Anyway, it was a dreadful day. It was raining. And we ended up back at the car, I think his or my car, I can't remember. And the two boys were in the back. It was all finished. And there were still loads of kids wanting their autographs. And they're absolutely round us, absolutely mobbing us, or mobbing them. And Kev said, look, if you line up, I know it's raining, but you know what Kev's like? He said, if you line up, I'll sign all your autographs. I won't go till I've signed them all. So we lined them all up, and there must have been about 30 deep, these kids, in the pouring rain. And I'm standing watching, and the kids will come forward. They go, would you mind signing my shin pads, please, Kev? No problem. Sign his. Would you mind signing my shirt, Kev? No problem. Sign my shirt. Pardon me? Sign my shirt. Get to the back of the queue. Next one, whatever. This one kid came round 4 times till someone said to him, I think all you got to do is say please. But it said everything about Kev. He was kind to a fault, but he had his values, you know, and he was not going to be spoken to like that. And I looked at him and I thought, yeah, that's dead right. That kid learned a lesson that I bet now, if you spoke to him now, 20 odd years later, he'd take that, he'd have taken that lesson on board, and it would have made him a better person. He just had this massive character. He had a heart full of kindness. I mean, the only thing I won't miss is the 6 o'clock phone calls. Symeou, are you up? And I'll tell you one more quick story. So I used to go away with him sometimes, and we used to share a room. We going out, we're doing some business, doing whatever, and we'd be going around, and we shared a room. My God, I would never have married that man, I tell you. Yeah, I tell you. Yeah. So he would get in bed. So we came back from the day doing work and whatever, and we'd get to the room. We had twin beds, and we get in bed. I'd be tired, so I get in bed and get my covers up, and I'd be ready to go to sleep. And the big man would start, wouldn't he? What do you think of today? What do you think? I think we could do this. I think we could do that. And he's full of buzzing ideas, and I'm like drifting. Yeah, Kev. Yeah, Kev. And then he'd say something, because, you know, it doesn't matter about education. Kev was a really bright guy. Whatever, he had a very sharp mind, and he'd say something, and I'd think, wow, that's really good. So I'd be almost asleep, and I'd wake up, and I go, yeah, and I'd turn around in the bed, gone, fast asleep, he'd be absolutely unconscious. And I'd be there, and when that man slept, you could get a cattle prod, you wouldn't wake him up, yeah. And I'd be kicking him. I'd say, well, whatever. So I'd wait for a bit. Then I'm awake because my brain's going. So it'd take me an hour to go to sleep. Kev only needed 2 hours a night. So I'd finally go back to sleep. He then kicked me up the arse. I get a kick, and I'd wait. And I go, what? He go, what you were saying? What were you saying? You're right. We should do this. I think, oh, and then he'd be gone. The rest of the night's done, and I'd have had about a sum total of 20 minutes sleep. I tell you, if I could have all that back again, I'd put up with all of it just to have that man back in my life. I tell you,
John,
he was a special man.
He was.
Just telling a story about the tennis coach, please. It's funny, please.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Come on, please tell
All
us
right.
something.
So listen, this is and this shows his sense of humour. He could laugh at himself as well.
He was
Like,
so funny.
He could laugh at himself. So I live most of the time in Portugal, and he came out last year to spend a week with me, and we had the best time. And you know, the sad thing is, you know, and I don't want to get emotional, but one of the things I said to one of his family is that I look at the dates when he's meant to be coming out this year to spend a week with me in the sun, messing around and having a laugh. I'm going to be going back to his funeral. You know, how does that work? That isn't right, is it? But so the story Lee's talking about is he came out last year, and so I belong to a tennis club, and there's a few people there, footballers involved there, and everything like that. The week before Kev came out, Sol Campbell was there. And people have always confused Sol and Kev Campbell, always gotten them mixed up. So Kev came out, Sol had gone the week before, and Kev turned up. So I'm playing tennis against the tennis coach there, who I'm friends with, and we're playing. And I said to Paolo, Paolo, listen, I said, do me a favour, yeah? I said, when we go, I'm going to bring Kev back past the courts. As we walk up past the courts, just shout out, "Bye, Sol." We're walking out. We're walking up past the courts, and Paolo turns around and he goes, "Bye, Sol." He's done me. He goes, "He's done me. He's done me." That's what he goes. He goes, "He's done me." He goes, "Symeou, I'm gonna have you."
That's so funny. He was such a one of the things, and we'll share as the evening goes. He loved a joke, and he loved to carry on for a while too. If he had you, he would keep it going, and
Sophie,
you know, that was one of the beautiful things about him.
John, yeah, on
He
Twitter.
did. He gave everyone their nicknames.
He did. Everyone had a nickname, and I had 3 or 4. So I was Red Nose John, John the Baptist, the Fox in the Box for no reason at all. They just called me that. Symeou. So I was always Symeou anyway from before. But the Red Nose John, a very quick story about Red Nose John. I think Lee and Sophie may know this, but he called me Red Nose John. And do you know this thing where he was so generous, spirited, in that he created this Red Nose John thing on Twitter. And for a while, a few years ago, it became quite big, particularly with the Everton fans. It became, because I'm a big Liverpool fan. He was Everton, and we used to joust on Twitter. They used to get involved. It became quite a big thing. And for a little while, it was quite a big thing, this Red Nose John thing. And one day, we came out of Anfield. Kev had come with me to see Liverpool Everton. And as we walked out, we got in the cab, and he goes to, we were walking outside. He said, "Should we get a cab, John? Why don't we go to Wilmslow, the pub, the Everton pub, and have a drink?" I said, "You're mad." I said, "I'm not going in there. They're going to kill me." He goes, "No, Symeou, you're with me. You'll be fine." I said, "You sure?" "Yeah." He goes, "Come on, let's get in the cab." So we get in the cab. But I'd known Kev for 20 years at this time. And when you know someone like that, who's that big a personality and is a well-known footballer, you're a bit anonymous. So whenever I went out with Kev, people would say, "Oh, you're Kev Campbell." I was almost anonymous. I just sat next to him. No one knew who I was. That was fine. And I'm a nobody, so that was fine. We got in the car, and we got in the cab, and the cab driver starts getting his rear view mirror and giving it all this, lining his rear view mirror up. I thought, here we go. "You Kev Campbell." So he sat there, and he suddenly goes, "Excuse me, mate, are you Red Nose John?" Kev almost wet himself next to me. We laughed. I said, "Listen," I said, "I am." So he goes, "Hold on a minute." And he dials a number, and he goes, "Hey, Mark," he goes, "I got Red Nose John and Kev Campbell in the cab." Kev goes, Hey, it's Kev Campbell and Red Nose John. Don't get the billion the wrong way around. He's going to get cocky if you carry on doing that. So he was just, you know what he was like. He was fun.
That's brilliant. John, listen, no, it's a tough time for you, your family. And personally, I want to thank you for being there over the last few. Being able to talk to you about stuff has been just so comforting. And maybe we could do another round of Kev stories on Highbury Squad with you real soon. And God bless you. God bless your family. And thank you for sharing your friendship with Super Kev with us.
Just before John goes, like obviously me and John get on really well, and Kevin made me put in his phone Red Nose John, and it's still to this day Red Nose John on the phone.
He refused to call him John.
Change it.
Yeah.
Oh, I never change it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll Red Nose his phone. You know what I mean? That's how he gets you, and that's how it is. Like, you know.
And look,
thanks,
Sophie. You and I, particularly Lee and I, know each other, seen each other personally. Sophie, you and I have a relationship. That's all because of Kev.
Yeah.
That's because of Kev. We wouldn't have met. Look, I know you need to get on. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks, Red Nose.
It's good to talk. And
at ease, mate.
One of the curses of having the luxury and the honor of having so many people who would like to share their stories is that we unfortunately can't dedicate the amount of time to each of them that we would ideally like to. But I think there are going to be spin-offs to this show. There are going to be more in-depth interviews and stuff to come. So moving right along, we do have an incredible next guest who's also known Kevin for decades upon decades. Before we get to this person, however, as long as we're on the subject of Liverpool and red noses, one of Kevin's other very, very good friends in the media and from the football pitch has a verbal message. And because it may not be immediately apparent who it is, this will be Stevie Nicol.
Hey Sophie, hey Arsenal fans, Stevie Nicol here. Just thought I'd drop you a line and give you my thoughts on when I think about Kevin. Clearly the football world is worse off for losing him. The world's worse off for losing him. But when I think of Kev, I think of that big smile. I think of the day I put him on his backside, the only time I did, playing against him. And he sprung straight up, looked me straight in the eye, and just flashed that smile at me. And of course, the other side of the coin, he knocks me on my backside, and the gentleman that he was comes over, puts his hand out, pulls me up, and again gives me that big smile. I mean, what's not to like about that, even when he puts you on your backside? Listen, I said it before, this planet's worse off for not having him on it. But whatever world he's in right now, you know he'll make it a better place. Cheers.
Thank you, Steve.
Love
Hey,
that.
Sophie. Hey, Arsenal fans.
All right, hold on.
Here.
He's been on the show quite a few times, and the banter between him and Kev is just amazing. And he so much respect, and we used to rib him about Anfield '89 all the time, and he keeps coming back. So thank you, Stevie, just a top shelf guy. So speaking of top shelf guys, I am Super Kev, if I can just say before you introduce him, Mike, would be so stoked that this fella is coming on to talk. So much respect. I mean, he would be so happy that he's here.
Well, we are all happy that he's here, and I might just make the assumption that this gentleman has known Kevin longer than any of us, than anyone else on this podcast. So welcome, without any further ado, welcome to the show, Mr. Stuart MacFarlane. Thank you so much for joining us, and means the world to all of us.
Good evening. Sorry about my red head. I've been at my child's sports day and didn't put any sun cream on, so I look like a beetroot.
We transitioned from red nose to red head now, so I mean it's a logical.
You don't notice.
What? By the way, Steve Nicol, unbelievable. I'm crying listening to what you said about Kev. Absolutely unbelievable. Says so much about the man.
Does, and we're just going to let you take it away. And kind of, you've known Kev a lot longer than all of us. He absolutely adored you, and I think one of the things that you do beautifully, Stuart, is you're amazing at your job and what you do. The players feel that you're there, but you have such an amazing way of doing your job that they don't even notice you're there. And he had so much trust, and the players have so much trust in you. And he just raved about you, wanted you to know that, and you probably knew that already. But why don't you just give us your first memories of Kev and tell us whatever it is you want about the big man?
I just think, as a photographer, you don't know the players. They turn up on the pitch. You instantly see who are the great players and who are never going to make the cut. And he was just exceptional, scoring goals. Left foot, right foot, headers, outside the box, inside the box, smashing centre halves. But that just wasn't him, that was him as a player, but as a person, never seen anyone smile so much. He had time for everybody at the football club. From the moment he made his debut, the moment I met him when he was a youth team player, to when he made his debut, to when he played all those games, partnered Alan Smith and Wrighty. Never saw players walk off the pitch unhappy. Never saw him walk off the pitch unhappy. Always got a big smile on his face. Had time for everybody. Even until a month ago, he was still messaging people from the club. Just devastating to lose such a amazing guy.
Do you tend to get attached? I mean, obviously we've seen you in the Amazon video. We know what this club means to you, and if anyone knew you before that, they wouldn't have known that anyway. But a lot of players have come through those halls, and through the dressing room. And do you tend to find yourself getting attached on a personal level, or is it really the unique person that sticks with you this long?
I just think it's personalities, really. And the thing is with Kevin, like even after he left, every time I saw him, it was like a massive bear hug, lifted me up in the air, gave me a big cuddle. I'll never go to Goodison. Every time I think of Goodison Park as going to see Kevin Campbell, because every time I went there, he was always there. Walked into the press room, Kev was there, immaculately dressed, just running up behind me, pick me up in the air, give me a cuddle and a kiss. He never forgot anyone at Arsenal. And unfortunately, the way that his career went, that maybe if Arsene was there when his contract was up rather than maybe Bruce Rioch, I think Arsene would have kept him on, offered him a long contract, because he was so brilliant. And Arsene loved characters as well. I think Kev would have fitted in with what he was trying to start, with Baldy and Tony and the back four. I think he'd have really, really just exploded as a player if Arsene had managed him.
Well, speaking of someone else, we were going to bring in Perry with you. Sorry, so
Mike, I was just going to say, to follow up what Stuart said, you're correct about that. He always wondered what it would have been like if Arsene was there. He always said that. So sorry, Mike, didn't mean to interrupt, but
it's going to happen, and I've got a second delay anyway. Perry Groves, welcome to the podcast. Perry and Stu, obviously, we wanted to have you on together, and we do now. So Stu's been sharing some personal memories and thoughts about Kevin, but you've of course played with him and knew him well as well. So feel free to have the floor.
I've got to admit, I don't think it's really hit home yet. I think when I got the news on Saturday morning, obviously we'd known that Kevin hadn't been very well, and he'd been taken poorly. But it still came as a massive shock, because anybody who knew Kev, I got a message from him actually. We knew he was ill in February, and we're all on a WhatsApp group together, the 89 boys, and obviously Kevin was up at Anfield. He was a young player just breaking in the squad, so he was there up at Anfield, and so we all sent a message to him back in February. We knew her very well, and then we're just getting sort of updates. And Kev messaged me in April just to say, Rosie, thanks for the message. It's Super Kev, and I thought, oh, fantastic, he's on the road to recovery. And then we heard that he'd been taken ill again, got to hospital, and I got to admit, on Saturday morning, I was done. I couldn't believe that, bless him, he'd actually passed away. And life can be so cruel, like sometimes. And he was 54, and I've known Kev since he was 16, breaking into the Arsenal team, and he was part of the FA Youth Cup winning side in I think it was 87, 88, and he was such a, it's probably been shared before, he was such an ebullient, effervescent, warm, kind, big-hearted, and when he walked into a room, he had a presence, but he wasn't an overwhelming presence. He had this massive presence, and his personality, and these massive, we see it here, he's massive, like Cheshire cat grin. And I consider, and in football we call it the empty clothes peg syndrome, where you can change next to someone for 5-6 years and then they get a transfer, they go somewhere. We all consider Kev as a mate, and I mean a proper mate, who would do anything for anybody. And when he was breaking in, he went on loan to Leyton Orient, and a good friend of mine, Bob Mills, who's a massive Leyton Orient fan, Like Kev was smashing, Stu will tell you, Kev was smashing everybody around in the youth team, and you see like his big, strong presence, which he was, and you think, all right, it's because you're bigger than everybody else. You're smashing all of the other 16, 17 year olds about. So they sent him out to Leyton Orient on loan, and Bob Mills saw him play, and he said every Orient fan after 15 minutes thought, he's too good for us. He's miles too good. He went down into which was in the old 4th division, and like was physical and robust, but he had as he got a bit more experienced, he was lightning quick and strong, but he had a really good touch. He had a really good feel. So Leyton Orient got promotion that season, even though he didn't play in the playoff final. And he came back, and then he broke into the side, and you could see that he was something special. But you could see that he was very, very level-headed. And at the end of the 1990-91 season, obviously we won the title that year. He came into the side and he scored 8 goals in 10 games. Now, can you imagine in today's football, Kevin would have been a global superstar if you did that in the Premier League at the age of 20. And he would have been the England, he would have been the England squad now, because at the end of that season, he was that good. And then you think, oh, he didn't let it go to his head. He was very, very level-headed. And I can remember being at a party at the end of that season with him, actually. And everybody said, obviously, we're all known that he loved a dicky bow or a cravat and a pocket hanky. And he was 20 years of age, and everybody in the 90s, they had like the ripped jeans on and the boots with the bottle tops on them and whatever. It was like the rave scene. And I can remember standing next to him, and I said, "What are you? Are you the magician? You coming here? Are you good? You like going to suffer?" And he went, "He looked at me and he went, Grovesy," this big smile on his face. And I went, "Grovesy." He said, "Fashion is temporary, style is permanent." And you think,
love it.
He was 100%. And I just started laughing. I went, "Mate, you're the only person at 20 years of age who could rock that look." And he didn't. And the best thing about Kev was, and I mentioned about in this day and age what a superstar he would have been, he didn't let it go to his head. He was just very, very level-headed, come back, worked his socks off. And the biggest compliment, not just as like he was a fantastic footballer, but he was a better human being. He was better off the pitch than he was on it. And that's saying a lot when you see how good he was on it. And then around that era, and I think we'll all agree that Ian Wright and Alan Smith are all-time greats for Arsenal, right? Kev was still playing 30, 40 games a season. And he had Ian Wright, obviously, and Smudge, to dislodge from the team. And he kept it. He just kept himself so grounded and so level-headed. And then playing for Arsenal the way that he did, and then obviously then leaving. And the biggest accolade as well, like when you're playing, there's pressure at the top, there's pressure at Arsenal because it's one of the world's biggest football clubs. So the expectation's high, you'll judge on a different level. But Kev then proved that when he went down, he went to Everton, he went to West Brom. He actually saved those two clubs from relegation. He actually scored like bundles of goals, important goals, when he's battling at the wrong end of the table. And that said more again about the man and the character. And as I said, we're all in this WhatsApp group. I still think we're still in this suspended shock at the moment. And I really don't think it's going to sink in properly and wholly. And obviously when we all we go to the to Kev's funeral. And I think that, and it's unbelievably, it is because it comes to me like, you have to get on with your day, but then it'll just come to me, or I'll have a reminder, or something will flash in. And
yeah, it comes in waves. I was talking to David Hillier the other day too, and he's, kind of, he's in bits about it. And Tom, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to duck out. You've got an early show tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. If there's anything you wanted to say to Stu and Perry before you leave too, and then we'll bring Harry in real quick.
Yeah, just a massive thank you to you both for jumping on, taking the time to share your thoughts. From a perspective of someone who knew Kev for only a short period of time compared to you, it's just amazing the consistency of the stories you hear, across generations about Kev, and just that consistency of kindness, generosity, and that big smile. But thank you guys, and I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Tom. I'm going to bring Harry in as well, Mike, real quick, and then we'll stay a few minutes here with Stu and Perry, and maybe Stuart. Do you have a favourite anecdote about Kev? Is there anything that stands out in your mind?
I think it's not from playing. I think it's, I will never forget his laugh. That's the one thing that I'll always miss. And his big smile and just a bear hug from him. And that's it, really. Players come and go. We've had some great players at the football club, but the ones you always remember, the ones with big personality. And I can thinking about his voice now, that big laugh he had, that's what I'll miss. And that's, I think, what we'll all miss. And that's the hardest thing, to think that I'll never see him, or he'll give me a hug or hear that laugh again. That's what I'll always remember. I'll just remember his big smile and his laugh.
This was a really proud moment for him as well, when he got to meet Nelson Mandela. He loved this picture and he loved this experience. And Perry, you had so many experiences. I don't think Kevin ever took for granted the experiences and the beautiful things that football kind of was able to bring into his life. Is there any particular story that stands out for you about Super Kev that you want to share with everyone?
Like as I said, I consider him as a real proper mate, and we played in the reserve when he was coming through. Obviously trying to get himself into the first team, we played in the reserves together, and randomly it was at Brisbane Road, and the reserves were playing against Leighton Orient's first team, and Kev had missed a couple of chances, and he'd gone through 1v1, and we were both. My biggest strength was I was lightning quick, and Kev was lightning quick as well. So we were the two quickest players at the club. So there was a ball that was played over the top, and me and him broke the offside trap, and it was me and him actually racing 1v1 to try and get on the ball. And I thought, what I'll do is, I'm the senior player, I'll shoulder him off the ball, my own player, and I'll run through and I'll score, because I want to get in the first team. And I tried to shoulder him off the ball, and I actually went flying. I went flying. He just run through and slightly past the goalkeeper, and his massive grin as he come jogging back on his face. He go, Grosy. Centre half 6'4" tried to do that to me. He said, "You ain't doing it." He said, "You're a winger. That ain't happening, sunshine." So I went, "All right, Super Kev, well played." So and we just had a laugh about it, because we were the brutal reality is, I must admit, I wanted to show him off because I wanted to score, because I wanted to score for reserves and I wanted to get in the first team, and he was doing exactly the same thing, and he had that which you need at the top level. He had that ruthless streak in him as well. But then afterwards, we just had a massive, there was no, we just had a massive, big laugh about it. And then obviously the lads got to find about that I was bullied by Kevin on the pitch, and he scored a goal. So I was ribbed for quite a while after that. But I just, and all of us, everybody that I've ever met, we all have character defects and character flaws. It's just a human thing. We all do, whether it's, selfishness every now and again, or, self-pity might creep in, or, like jealousy or whatever. I can honestly say that in the 38 years that I've known Kev, he didn't have one character flaw or one character defect. at all. And it's very, very rare you can say that about like any other human beings. And that's what he may be gone bodily, but he's not gone spiritually, and he's not gone in my soul. I'll think same as Rocky Rocastle. I will think about Rocky once a day, maybe twice a day, and Kev will be exactly the same, and that's probably one of the highest accolades I could give. You know, like because he leaves you. He's made a mark on people. He's left his mark on people, and that's whether you're an Arsenal fan or whether. And I would say that all the clubs that he's played for, everybody will say exactly the same thing. Now, obviously, he was a gooner, and I knew that, you know, he loves Arsenal, but he gave everything to all the other clubs that he played for, and they will say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, there's a consistency. There's a consistency when people talk about Kev. I know we've kept Stuart a little over, and I don't know, Perry, if you have a few more minutes to hang out, or Stuart, we can let you go.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Just one thing, Grosy. I remember. I'm sure I've got a picture of you wearing a dicky bow in the Arsenal changing room after we won the league in '91. Is that correct?
Was he wearing anything additional to the dicky bow?
I think I just showed it. Let me see if I have it here.
I think that's my picture.
This is your picture, Stuart. I was going to let everyone know, like, this is your photo, and he's wearing a dicky bow right there.
So you were affected. So you were affected by the fashion icon that was Kevin Campbell at that time.
Do you know what, Stu? I did it on purpose because I was I was devastated because I wasn't in the squad that game. I think that was after if I'm right, I think that was after the Manchester United game.
It was.
And
we won the league before the game, didn't we? Because Chelsea lost it.
Because Coventry was the last game of the season. So I was a bit disappointed at not being in the squad. So I did it, as I said to Merce. I remember saying to Merce, I'm going to take the mickey out of Kev. I'm going to put a mauve bow tie on. And Kev said to me, "There's one thing wrong with that, Groves." I said, "What's that, mate?" He went, "It's not big enough. It's got to be a little bit bigger." Yeah. So that was.
I thought you had bad fashion sense. I just thought, oh my
God, that was it.
It is tiny, Perry. It is tiny. You could just about see it right there.
Yeah, just a little sort of mauvey pink number, just below Anders' right ear. So that was a bit of a Mickey take out of Kev, and he thought it was too small. So you give me a bit of room about that. So it's pretty cool.
That was. I took a picture that day that I never thought would be relevant, but it's one of my favourite pictures I've ever taken of at Arsenal, and it was Kev, Rocky, Davo, and Mickey Thomas. I don't know if you've seen it. It's quite a well-known.
I love that photo.
And it was like I even put it. I did something the other night.
The one with the cigar. Yeah,
and it's still one of my favourite pictures, and it's one. I was young to the job then, but it was just like, oh, look at this. But it meant so much to me at the time, and it means even more to me now. And it's so sad to see that obviously Rocky and Kev have gone, but we've still got Davo and Mickey. But it was like I still love that picture and that moment as well in that change room with those. What a great group that was at that time.
Yeah, we saw ourselves because obviously there was a lot from that group from the '89 up at Anfield as well. So, and we were like the senior players taking Kev and David Hillier, who broke into the team in that season as well, taking them to under our wing, and there was I could see there like a sense of pride of. Two Arsenal boys breaking in, and they just got in seamlessly. And there's always hierarchy. You know, Stu. There's always like a hierarchy in dressing rooms and at football clubs. Obviously, with senior players, And you have to, even, you know, as good as what Kev and Dave Hillier were, there's a rites of passage, you know, and they had the ultimate respect, even though on the pitch you're all equal, you know, and you're playing, but off the pitch, again, it's one of the strengths of Kev. He had the ultimate respect for all of the senior players, and both of them just wanted to learn on the pitch and off the pitch, obviously, because Kev loved a bit of the Tuesday club as well, you know. So that was a rites of passage where you ease them in and you show them how it's done. And we were, you obviously you're around, Stu, we were, and it's, you know, I don't want to be you here, but we were a family. And most successful teams that you have to have that bond. And everybody got on. I can't remember. Normally in training grounds, Kev, Stu, you've been aware of it. You get little fracas here and there, didn't you? Little bust ups or personalities that don't get on or they clash. That group never happened. Never ever happened. But we were so good as a group and as a squad because we were really tight knit and we'd all be there for each other. And Kev brought into that heart and soul, and he loved it. And you saw him flourish as well as he obviously played more games. And then he was the sort of senior pro that would then, when the other younger players are coming through, he would take them under his wing and he would show them the right way to behave and what you do and what it means to play for Arsenal. And yeah, he made everybody's life better, whoever met him. That's, you know, there's not many people you can say that about, to be fair. And as I say, he'll have always a special place in my heart.
Beautiful. And
Love
gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is one of those things that we could go 8 hours if, you know, we certainly could fill it up with amazing things that have been said about everybody, but we've got a pretty full backstage. So Stuart, thank you so much. I will see you in a few weeks in my territory. And Perry, I'll see you next time I'm over. I appreciate both of you coming and, you know, as Kevin would say, at ease. And
thank you guys
so much for your stories.
Thank you so much.
Guys,
cheers, lads.
Hug your loved ones.
Love you all.
Your loved ones.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant stuff.
It's amazing when you listen to.
Hi, Harry.
Hey, everyone.
Harry and Perry didn't even get a chance to say hello to each other. They're colleagues, and they. I was trying to introduce each other.
They're like, we talk to each other all the time. I don't need to say hello to him.
He probably thought, not that geezer again. If Kev was here,
go ahead, Harry.
I was just going to say, if Kev was here, he'd rip into me right now because I dug the dicky bow out, but I can't figure out how to adjust the size. So I've had to put it on my microphone.
Put it on your mic.
Yeah,
oh, man.
You're not the only one that's had a bit of trouble today. I say
can I just say, you guys, when I talked about wearing a dicky bow, you know, it does trust the girl to get it right. You wear a shirt with your dicky bow. Wear a shirt. I think there's a couple of guys backstage that are gonna rectify that in just a little bit. Listen, we are running a little bit late. When you have people on who've known Kev for so long, and they tell stories and chat, you don't want to break that up in any way. So appreciate the patience.
Who's going to stop those two?
No, I'm not on a time scale, but we have a couple of old folks who are Arsenal related behind who need their bedtime, but also we've got some special Everton guests as well. So I'm going to shut up now. We'll play a video and then we'll bring in a couple other folks and move this along.
And to people backstage, we appreciate your time and your flexibility. We know we kind of gave loose times and we're way behind that, but you know, thank you so much. I appreciate it. As long as we're on the 1989 theme between our last guests and my t-shirt from the wonderful Nola Gunnar, who'll be joining us later, I think it's about time for another one of his beloved teammates to have a say.
Hi, everyone. Well, what a sad conversation this is. What a sad podcast. I could not believe the news when I heard about Kevin. All the lads, we've got a 89 WhatsApp group, and we were speaking about him when he originally went into hospital, and then thankfully we thought when he came out he got through the worst of it, but when he went back in we all feared for him, and unfortunately our fears were founded, so we're all devastated, but we all have really fond memories of him. He was such a positive, happy, smiling person, popular in the dressing room. I'll never forget when he first came in to the first team scene. He'd come over from the youth team where Pat Rice, he was the youth team manager at the time, and George Graham would bring him across to test and give our centre-halves a good going over, actually, because he was such a physically imposing teenager, so muscly and enthusiastic. And I remember Steve Bold and Tony Adams thinking, oh no, Kev's coming across from the other pitch. We're going to have to work a little bit here today. But then when he did break into the first team, the 1991 season was his breakthrough year, when he partnered me quite often in attack, and obviously we went on to win the league that year, losing just the one game, and he instantly became a fan's favourite. And you know, the lads that have come through the academy always are favourites. We've had so many down the years, and also Kev had people to look up to, people that had come from the same part of town, South London. Paul Davis really was the first. The black lads used to call Davo Pops because he was kind of the trailblazer from south of the river. And then of course you had the late great David Rocastle, Mickey Thomas, a few others too. And when Kev came through, he joined the gang, and as I say, we all loved him. I certainly enjoyed playing with him. Our respective styles went well together, and of course he went on to enjoy a fantastic career away from Arsenal. Captained Everton, and that showed his character, because he became a leader of men. Had some tough times out in Turkey in Trabzonspor. I think wasn't always easy out there, but he came through it because he had character. Such a sad day. And I know you'll all be feeling the same at this moment, but we should celebrate his life because he gave so much during the relatively short time he was with us. So God bless Kev.
Alan Smith, obviously someone who would know what Kev is like to play with. So one more very, very quick one so that we don't get too far behind. And we want, someone whose father was very, very important to Kevin. If you are on social media or you know anything about the Arsenal and Gooner family, you know who Jill Armstrong is. And she had some words to say of her own, and then we'll bring in our next guest.
What can I say about Kev that hasn't already been said? He's a lovely, kind and generous man, someone who made time for everyone. Kev lifted our mornings on Twitter with a fabulous dance tune or a positive quote. He literally gave us all a wonderful start to the day. Though I remember meeting Kev a few times many years ago when Dad was coaching, my last memory was doing the podcast with Kev, Amanda and Sophie for Highbury Squad. Kev was just so engaging, the way he talked about Dad and his memories and funny stories. Watching it back, it really hit me, with Kev talking about how fit and young Dad was to die at 56. And here we are now paying tribute to Kev at 54. It's just so sad. What resonates with me is the similarities they both shared, their kindness,
People able to hear this?
Humor, love for the Arsenal, time for everyone, and nothing was ever too much. They certainly broke the mould when they made Kev. You will be so missed, Jill.
I love Jill.
I got a message from someone that said that they couldn't hear it.
Okay, so we're going to put, it doesn't matter because everything that you see, guys, we're going to string together in a video that you can hear and listen whenever you want. It's so don't worry about that. And just real quick before we bring in our next couple guests is Jill. Her morning messages are as inspiring. I love how she shares her father's legacy, which is probably one of the most significant, most important legacies of the Arsenal Football Club. And thank goodness for people like Jill who are willing to do that. And it helps the younger fans learn even more history about our beautiful club. All right, Mike, who we got next? I think we're going to mix it up a little bit here and bring in a Gooner and a Toffee.
We're going to bring in a Gooner and a Toffee together. We first of all from Everton Football Club, the universe of Everton Football Club, Mr. Alan Myers. Welcome to the tribute. It's a pleasure to meet you and to see you, and of course, someone that every Gooner will know and love, Clive. Clive, welcome to the Kevin Campbell tribute.
Hey, hello everybody. How are you? You well?
As well as can be expected.
We're doing okay. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. I would like to start, if I may, by switching it up a little bit. And the reason why I wanted to bring, we got a lot of people, but Clive and Alan together as well. Alan has known Kevin, I'll just put the picture up, for a very, very long time. They have been friends. He called Al Big Al. We all call him Big Al because of Kev, another nickname. And your tweets, your messages have been so comforting, Alan. And your club has done such a phenomenal job of recognizing what Super Kev did for Everton Football Club. It has been nothing short of beautiful to witness and watch. And I know that you're absolutely devastated. You guys have been friends for so long. I'll just let you have the floor.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sophie, and thanks to everyone, for inviting me on tonight. It's a real privilege, and yeah, I've known Kev for 25 years, and he, at the time when he came to Everton, it was very much it was a loan, and it was a last day of the transfer window, and it was when back in the days when the transfer window shut on a Thursday in March. And we were desperate to get a striker. We weren't scoring goals, and when he came, I have to be honest, there was a little bit of trepidation from the fans, because Kevin had been away to Turkey, but the impact he had at Everton can never ever be underestimated. He came into that squad. I always describe Kevin as he walks through a room, the lights come on as he goes through. So. The further he goes, the more lights that come on, and he touched everybody in the club. His enthusiasm was infectious. His overall sort of demeanor, immediately lifted a football club. And when I say a football club, I mean the whole football club. The staff, the kit men, the masseurs, you name it. Every aspect of the club lifted because of Kevin. He was a fighter. He was a fighter at the very first minute I knew him, and he was a fighter at the very last minute I knew him, and or I was with him rather. And he had this incredible ability to make people feel special, and the people who needed to feel special. He was almost at a radar to search out people who were were in need of a lift or in need of some help in some way, whether it was a smile, whether it was a bit of a joke or whatever. He was fantastic. I always tell the story about. I always say Kev sought out the underdog. He wanted to be there for every underdog in the world. And I always remember being in the dressing room at Belfield, the training ground, and we know in those days it's probably not the same now, but in those days dressing room banter was rife, and you had to be strong-willed if you went into a dressing room of those days. And I walked in, and there was just Kevin and this other player, I won't name him, it's not fair, because it was, it wasn't malicious or anything. And I had a little bit of weight on me at the time, as I do now. And this other player said, because he was basically 1 day younger than me, this player, and he said to Kev was sat there, the training just finished, and he said, "Look at this fella," pointed to me, Kev. He said, "Same age as me, but for a day." He said, "And look at the state of him, and it was just banter, it was. But Kev said to him, "The great thing is," he said, "is Alan can lose weight. You'll always look the way you do," and he instantly made me feel $1 million. And this player sort of sit there, and you could see in the player's mind, he was reflecting on what he'd done and what he'd said, and like I say, it wasn't malicious. It was just banter. But Kevin didn't like, people being put down. He didn't like that. He was champion for making people feel special, and I'm so privileged to have known him, and that friendship, I'm glad to say. When I was leaving the club, I left the club in a bit of a. I didn't want to leave, but I had to resign because I felt it was the right thing to do. And Kev sort of understood that. He noticed it rather than any other players. And I didn't expect players to notice it. But I was the press officer. But players, had their own things to do. They didn't need to worry about people like me. But Kev did. And I always remember in the last couple of games, and he came to me after one game, and he gave me his captain's armband, which, I know he was immensely proud to be Everton's first, and that's it there. Yeah, Everton's first black captain. But he was so proud to be captain of Everton. And I always remember him saying to Walter Smith, are you sure, Pease is David Weir, we call him Pease. David Weir's captain, what about David Weir? Again, worrying about somebody else and what they thought. But Kevin brought it to me, and it had a most beautiful message on the back, about my time at the club and what he felt about me, and it was unbelievable. And then on the last day, that was 2 games before I left, and on the last game we were playing Middlesbrough, and he come to me in the tunnel, and I never really watched the games. I was too busy down the tunnel doing my job, and he said to me, "I'm going to score for you today, Big Al." He said, "I'll score for you today. You watch me on Match of the Day." So, of course, I went home that night, still quite upset because it was my last game. And I turned on Match of the Day, and I was watching that. And then there he goes with this. He had this celebration, which he would always do this, sort of, I don't know if you can see me, but, he'd do Big Al, he'd say every time he saw me. And he did it. And I'm sat there on my own in the house, bawling tears down my face, because Kev had taken the time. And, you don't forget those things, all these years later on, you don't forget those things. And that is literally just 1% of what Kev has meant to me and what Kev has done. And we've had this friendship for a long, long time. And he was just a special man. And, and people say, he won trophies at Arsenal, but he won hearts at Everton, and I think that's right. He was just welcomed, but not because it wasn't a welcome as such. He made people welcome him. He was such an infectious person, and he'll be sorely missed. And I know many Evertonians will.
Alan, can I just say something about I just loved going to Everton games with Kevin, because the love that he got was just incredible. It was incredible. He used to get mobbed, and it was great to see. And Everton, it was always special for him. Like he always said, he supported Arsenal, but he loved Everton. He absolutely adored Everton, and the fans adored him. And every time we went there, he got mobbed. And it was just a fantastic film. I'm just so privileged to have seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. And the thing was, the great thing was, it was, of course, they loved the fact he scored against Liverpool at Anfield. They loved that. They loved the fact that he saved us from relegation. But the thing about Kevin and the quality of Kevin and the real lasting impression that Everton fans have about Kevin is not necessarily what he did on the pitch, but what he did off the pitch, and the way he cared for Everton fans, and the way he bought into Everton, and he sort of. He became. I mean, you remember him telling me many times, I feel like an Evertonian. Even though my club is Arsenal, I feel like an Evertonian, and that was the thing. But from a personal point of view, I think the one lasting thing I will always have with Kevin, and he told me, a couple of weeks ago when I went to see him, and I was heartbroken to what I'd seen, and he even then, when he was in the situation he was in, he told me he loved me, and
said the same thing.
And even to that moment, he was thinking of somebody else, and and that's the legacy of Kevin Campbell, is that he thought of other people, and that's what will be special to me.
Yeah, it's incredible. I had the same thing, like, I was in the hospital, and that is exactly what, I mean, he said, he leant over and said, I love you.
Yeah.
And it's such a special thing. Even, how what he was like, what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
It was tough, but that was what he wanted to say. That was, I mean, not worry about himself and all that. Just wanted to know that.
So unselfish,
She's so unselfish, yeah. So unselfish. You're on mute, Mike.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate you coming on, and we haven't met yet, but I want to tell you a quick story because it really showed me what Everton Football Club can be, and whatever the relationship between him and between Kevin and the club.
Sure.
I went to see a game as a neutral. It was Everton Crystal Palace, probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And we strolled up to the game, and we happened to hear this familiar voice. He was on stage doing a pregame thing in the Everton fan zone just outside of Houston. And I had just met him through Lee about 6 months earlier. And I told my mate Tom, I said, watch this. And I barged my way up to the front because I knew he would just either not recognize me or not understand why he was seeing me in that situation. And I go up to the front. He caught a glimpse of me and completely derailed whatever he was in the middle of saying, which was hilarious. Regained his composure, and then as soon as the spot was over, he just came bounding off that stage to give me a big hug, and I felt like I was a million miles tall. And later that night after the game, we met him at the Winslow, and I mean, we didn't get any time with him, but it was wonderful that we didn't get any time with him because he was absolutely mobbed and cheered and supported by the supporters, and he took pictures with every single one. He danced and sang and embraced every single person that came up to him, and I was blown away. I said, that is respect.
And there are players who've done, achieved more at Everton, from on the pitch. There are players who've won trophies, and and they don't enjoy that sort of feeling.
You know what, Alan, this is true. It was me and Kevin once after the game, and where like the press entrance is probably opposite the Winslow, and we were waiting for him, and Graham Sharp come out. Now Graham Sharp has won the title, FA Cup with Everton, and was an unbelievable player. And as he walked past, 15, 20 people come around him and all that, When Kevin come out, you just could not move. It was unbelievable, I mean, I remember talking to him about that and going blimey, like Graham Sharp has come out there, I mean, the proper legend of, but ain't got nowhere near as much as you, So
because that was a mirror. You see, Kevin was a mirror. That love was like, that's what they saw. They saw that in Kevin, so Kevin saw that in them as well, and that was the beautiful relationship that they had with the club and with Kev. He would always be there for you, no matter what you wanted, no matter what you needed. He would be there for you, and like I say, when these things happen, we often talk about how lovely the people are, and but I can genuinely say that Kevin is possibly the best human being I've ever met, you know, in my whole life, you know, and you know,
I say that as well.
Yeah. And I you know, I say that in all honesty. You know, he was, you know, just a little thing. You know, you would talk to him about somebody. I'd go on and moan. You know, I'd say, you know what such and such said. You know, or what, and he'd say, Big Al, don't worry about that. You know, they don't mean it. You know, and he'd sort of make excuses for them. You know, and he hated confrontation. He hated to talk about people. You know, he always wanted the conversation to be wholesome and to be good, you know, and positive. And that is some talent, I think, you know, for anyone, especially in football, you know, which is like a big, massive gossip, bizarro world, isn't it? You know, it's, you know, but you know, Kevin was just pure good soul.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those memories with me, and to just give a brief taste of what Everton felt about him.
Super Kev, Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
You barely could see Super Kev because he's being mobbed outside of Goodison, but beautiful. Alan, thank you so much.
Listen,
so
guys,
you want to say goodbye to Alan?
No, thank you very much for having me.
Keep those tweets coming out because they're very inspirational, like, you know what I mean? And it's lovely to hear it from the Everton side, so keep doing them.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate all, you know, everything you're doing as well, and you know, it's great to see the two clubs and the other clubs as well coming together, you know, and with one cause.
Thanks, Al. Sorry, I lost it a little bit when you came on, so I'm sorry about that.
No problem,
thank you. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
What a top guy. What a top guy, you know.
Turns out that other clubs aren't just all the enemy after all. I mean, who knew that there would be other clubs? Clive, wonderful to see you. Thank you for your patience.
Clive, you okay?
Hey, yeah, well, yeah, you certainly it's a sobering conversation, right? And it makes you think about your own self, doesn't it? It makes you think about how you live and how you're communicating with other people. You know, Kevin had a unique talent making you feel like you was the only person in the room. And I'm now hearing that everyone else liked him too, and he was special to them as well. And it feels like, hold on, I thought he was mine. Do you know what I mean? And
it's like, bandwidth could a person have? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and
I thought on it all this. I tell you, like, I thought it was just my mate. Like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He thought he was mine, mate. And Lee, hold on, Lee, how come you know him so well? But you know what I mean when I say that, in jest.
Yeah,
100%. And you don't get the sort of outpouring for people who are not good people. You just don't get it, right? And so the reaction is fairly normal because of who he was, right? But I was going to say a few things that maybe after listening to people like Perry and listening to them who've known them a long time and really known them, sat in the dressing room next to them, maybe I can take you from a slightly different angle. Because back in the sort of 80s, as a young black guy going to watch football, it was difficult. It was very difficult. And people like Kev and Rocky and Michael Thomas, particularly Paul Davis, who came along before them, were absolutely inspirations to black fans. And I cannot tell you how much he inspired people. There'll be many people who are thinking, when is someone going to say something like this? Because when you used to go away, back in the day, Lee, you know, you just get up, rock up. I want to go to Sheffield Wednesday, just get in the car. And off you went, right? And off you went. And basically, when you used to go to these places in a different time with hooliganism, etc., if you were sort of in London, you could hide your scarf. When you're a black guy, you couldn't hide your head. So when you go to Sheffield, it's quite obvious that you were from London, and it was very, very, very tough to get in the ground in one piece. So when you got in the ground and you see people like Paul Davis and Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright and David Rocastle playing the way they played, it made you think, you know what, I've had a rough day, but I'm going back again next week. Yes, people are saying things to me, but I'm going back again next week because they played like I would have loved to have played. Similar ages, similar backgrounds, and the inspiration to give people like myself confidence to keep going to football. Arsenal's never been a problem. Arsenal, never been a problem. When you go to other places, Ipswich, Norwich, Leicester, Forest. I mean, just go through the numbers. Even Liverpool in some parts of the day. Millwall, it was tough. It was really tough. And people like Kev really inspired people like me to keep going and keep watching. When your parents were saying, "Why do you want to go to football? It's only going to get you in trouble," sort of thing. So, so there's almost two sides to the relationship that I had with him. That side where he's a total inspiration to many black fans. I promise you, there are more people than me that want to say this. Right? And he's an absolute example of how to communicate and how to be and how to play for us. And we felt like, and I jokingly about him belonging to us, but as far as I was concerned, Ian Wright, they all belong to us, the black fans per se, because of they really understood what it required. And that's the first phase of my sort of relationship with him, which was from a distance. And Sophie called me onto a podcast one night to meet him properly. And we did a podcast show together. You know, I like a chat when it comes to football stuff, etc. And I'm there talking and I'm talking away and Kev's really impressed. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, this is Kevin Campbell. This is the guy I went to Copenhagen to see. You know, I spent 2 days walking around with 24 cans of Stella. This is the guy that I traveled around Europe to go and see. You know, and it's sort of like, oh, but you know, after that, once I calmed myself down, after that, we stayed in contact. And if I would say something good, he would like message me and say, Clive, that was good. And vice versa. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, and like I say, I thought, oh, that's really nice. He's just doing that to me. And then, of course, I realized that he's nice to everybody. Which shouldn't be a shock. It shouldn't be a shock. But I'm being open and honest here. You know, when he's got that unique talent to make you feel special. Right? And I think that's why we're all sitting here. Really, isn't it? That's why. You know, it's how he makes you feel and how he interacts with everybody. When he could just say, I've played, mate, I'm a pro, I've done it. But he doesn't think like that. He treats every moment with you as a special moment. And so to me, we've got a lot of similarities in some ways, but to me, how you treat other people is the only thing that matters. You know, it's the only thing that matters. It really is. It's the only thing that matters. And we grow up in a world where we think we can say anything to people because we're online. It's not right. You know, think back. Think how you're behaving, because you just never know. You just never know. So I just wanted to say that and give you a different sort of view of why he means so much to people that don't know him. You know, and particularly when he was growing up, coming for the youth team, and we all knew he was coming. The goal records were built. They were there. We all knew he was coming. And when he arrived, he was as strong and as quick as we were told he was. And he started scoring, and there were bodies on the floor everywhere, and he was running through on goal. That's the memories I have initially. And then it's meeting the adult, the man, the father. His son was playing at Stoke when my nephew was at Stoke, Tyrese. My nephew was with him. He was the other big forward they had, and Tyrese stayed, and my nephew went abroad. So I know him from that angle as well, as an academy sort of dad sort of thing. So but yeah, not as well as some of you guys, obviously, but I just wanted to give you that view.
Brilliant.
I think what Clive's saying there about the being able to like give people confidence to do things, like I think that's really relevant to me as well, and like my relationship with Kevin as well, because when I first got in contact with Kevin, it was like a tweet. Would you give me an interview, please? I'm trying to do something and I need an interview from an ex-Arsenal player. And I must have sent out 50, 60 of those tweets. And like literally the first one to come back was Kevin Campbell. Done the interview, came on the podcast. And throughout, he knew from the beginning, because we had a really good chat. It wasn't just, I've got 20 minutes, you know, let's do it. It was, we had a really good long chat, and he knew what I wanted to do eventually, and he was like so supportive along the way. And always, you know, like sometimes you hear ex-pros talk about football and you feel like, and I know most of us have probably interviewed ex-pros here, so you probably feel like sometimes they don't give your opinion the time of day, like they'll dismiss it because you haven't been in that situation and they have. And there's like this kind of like, well, I've been there, you haven't, so how the hell can you tell me that this is the case or whatever? Never got that from Kevin, ever. Always like would give your opinion the time of day, would think about it. Yeah, you get into debates, but they were always like good debates and always with the best of intentions. And for me, like, I think he helped me so much in terms of like getting to do some of the things that I wanted to do, but not just by introducing you to someone or going on something for you, but literally by giving you confidence. Like, as Clive said, the amount of messages he'd send and say, well done, that was great, or whatever. I remember being in the press room with him. It must have been at some point last season, and just like standing there waiting to get a drink, and he just comes and he just slaps you on the back with that big hand. I thought I was going to fall over from the power. And then he sort of like took me over to a few people and was introducing me and was like, you know, if you need anything Arsenal, this is your guy. And I just thought, like, you don't need to do that. Like, it's just incredible that he's that kind of helpful to everyone. And you listen to all these stories and you know that it's for everyone. And when I found out the news on Saturday, it was hard. It's hard because you might not see someone every day, but you feel like they've played a massive role in something in your life, and that you've always been able to like reach out to them if you need them. And I remember there was a time when I had a difficult situation, like work-wise, and first person that rang me up was Kevin. I got a phone call. I didn't even have his number saved at that point, and I thought, who is this? And I answered the phone. And he was like, Harry, Super Kev. And he's like, just want to say blah, 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 like, you know, make sure you keep going and all that stuff. And that's the thing. It doesn't need to be like a material thing that someone gives you. It can just be confidence and support. And I don't think that I've ever come across anyone that has got that, or that had that kind of warmth to do that for so many different people, and never went, well, you're not my priority, you know, this is my priority. Like, just unbelievable person. And you listen to all these stories and it just backs that up. So yeah, I guess I could go on all day, so I won't.
I know it's well said, Harry. And you know, when you were writing your book Chronicles of a Gooner, I remember that, and he was hugely supportive of you and always backed you when you left your banking job and you wanted to pursue your broadcast and journalism career, and you've never looked back. And he encouraged people like you all the time. Some of it was never seen, and I'm so happy people are telling these stories so it can be seen. And Clive, when we did that show together with you and Elliot, the first thing he said when you guys hung up, he's like, we got to bring those guys back. They're good. And when you talk about, they should do a podcast. When you talk about your seeing, I'm so happy you shared it. There's part of football that you see through a lens that not many of us see, and Kev did see it. And he was so proud to be the first black captain of Everton Football Club. It meant the world to him. And he did things for people without shouting about it, without promoting it. And I know that he would love to hear you talk about that, because it meant the world to him, that he, probably one of his most proudest moments in football was that. So I just wanted to kind of share, because, you know, we talked a lot about these experiences, and most of the time he also shared them on our shows. And Alan knows exactly how he felt about that and that time at Everton too. So I'm really thankful that you shared it through your lens as well, and what that meant to you. I just wanted to
thank you.
that.
So mate, thank you for asking me on. I said to Mike as I was in backstage, you sure you need me? Because these guys really know him. But I thought, you know what, maybe I can bring something else, right? And that's what we all do. We bring what we have, right? We bring our luggage into the room. We bring what we have. We bring our thoughts and feelings into the room. And so yeah, that was mine. And thank you for asking.
Thank you. Just so you know, the Arsenal universe always needs Clive Palmer. I'm just saying. I think I speak on behalf of all of us.
You can Clive all day long, can't you?
No situation in which we won't be better with you with us than not.
It's getting late, and I know my voice can put you to sleep, so be careful, right? So,
I told you I want to do. I want to do
27
the
straight
lullaby
hours.
book. Arsenal Lullabies, read by Clive Palmer. It's happening. We're gonna do it.
Clive is my calming
there.
mechanism. Whenever we've had a bad result and I'm annoyed, I have to listen to Clive to kind of
You
keep
and
it
about
perspective.
3 million other people.
1 minute you're there, next minute you're unconscious. Be careful because you'll be sleeping. So yeah,
Thanks so much for joining us, though.
Let's transition.
Look after yourself.
Sorry,
all right.
I will.
Look after
Yeah.
yourself.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And don't be afraid to speak to people and reach out to people. Look after
I
yourself.
won't. I promise.
Right. Lee, top man, Harry.
Cheers,
see you
top
soon.
man. I love you.
Mike,
love listening to you.
LA, are you there?
Yes,
LA,
I will be there.
1000%.
I'll be there. Like,
Right.
so we'll share a drink.
There's a glass for Kev.
Be
Right
there with
now.
the whole family. I can't wait for them all to meet you this time.
Well, I'm there with
So,
Elliot, my brother, and Andrew. So look out for us. Take care, boys.
Bye bye. And Harry, sorry for having you so silent for so long. I know you're used to talking, and that must have been hard for you. But when you got a chance, you hit it out of the park. And we're gonna move to our next revolving co-host, who is just needs to come on camera. There he goes, and boy, is he the opposite of Chippendale Lee and myself when it comes to getting dressed proper. So
I'm glad you said that you look like Chippendales, because I was.
Well, I think it was somebody
and I thought it
somebody in
wasn't
the
really
chat.
right.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned, Harry. You know what I mean? So we're taking it, aren't we? Like,
I mean, they call me Magic Mike. There's a reason for that.
There's a reason. There's a reason for that.
There is. I mean, you're lucky I have my shirt on right now. But
I've got it all twisted and everything like that. But who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's all right, you know.
Guys, Lee and I never really cared what the hoi polloi think about how we look.
I actually put the dicky bow on before my t-shirt, and I quite.
I wore it together.
It's unreal, like, you know.
Did you take a few selfies in the mirror as well?
Yeah.
It depends on whether we get hacked or not. We'll see.
Next time we go to the Hippodrome, maybe we'll put Lee in the Magic Mike show with George about that.
What a night that was, guys! What a night that was.
Oh, that was special.
Harry,
Thank God we did that.
Guys, thank you for having me. And
Harry.
Done an amazing job. See you all soon.
Love you, my friend.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What we got next?
We are first going to welcome in Albert to join us for the next 40 minutes or so.
Another sexy voice coming on, like, you know.
Well, you know, don't be too kind. You know what? The only two people that probably do better voice notes than me, what I'm being told, is Judges. There's brilliant ones, and Kevin was just, I was howling, brilliant.
You know what Kevin would do to Judges tonight? You know, because as we know, he loved a good laugh. If he saw Judges wearing a khaki t-shirt and a bow tie, he would be doing this to him all night long.
Brock the neck.
All night. He would not only would he brock it, he'd destroy it. Seriously. This is what would be happening.
He would have known. Do you remember when we was at the Hippodrome? Like, you know, we went to the Hippodrome, fantastic. He turns out, it was actually on a Thursday, wasn't it? So I should have realised really, but he turned up immaculate, like bow tie, black suit on, a blue suit on, looking the part. I come in a jumper and a suit and jeans, and he just made me look like, you know, so stupid, like, you know what I mean? There he was, rocking it. And I just felt so underdressed, Campbell. I couldn't believe it, like, you know what I mean?
He was wearing one of those dodgy Hugo Boss sweatshirts.
Yeah, well, I thought it looked good at the time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but isn't he being paid to kind of style and influence people into wearing that stuff? I mean, you know, it's contractual. But we're going to welcome on two people weighing in at a total age of 175, and yet almost up until midnight. We have two fantastic gooners. I'm going to bring you on while you're doing that, Fergus. Put that finger away. Fergus and Hills.
Now we're talking.
The guns
hello, men.
Oh, look at this.
Hello.
Get off this. Get off. Get off.
Come on. X Factor's calling. Come on.
You've now got the glamour. You don't need a stripper up in the top right-hand corner like that, do we?
I love how I'm actually escaping some of this.
Yeah, you are actually.
Not wearing the white shirt.
Sophie, you dressed me. We miss you dressed me. Fergus and Trevs, can you?
Always be the second worst dressed person in the room, not the first one.
Trev, what were you saying?
I mean, Mrs. dressed me before I came on. She said you have got to. But I've not had this shirt on for a while, and I've been holding my stomach in for the last hour watching you lot. I've nearly
She couldn't put the trousers on apparently either.
I needed a good laugh.
Yeah,
Oh
have
my
you got
goodness.
trousers on? Come on, let's see if you ever.
No, he hasn't.
No,
he hasn't.
Can't wait for Newman's ratings at the end of this show. Let me just tell. Are you doing the newscaster look? Because I am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I am tonight. It's Anyway, it's so good to see you both, and thanks for wearing a shirt with your bow ties. And yeah,
Super
Magic,
Kev.
you have escaped it this evening. Seriously,
know,
you're wearing.
it's-
The only thing that's saving you is the fact that you're wearing an Anfield '89 shirt, designed
No,
by our
it's-
good
I'm
friend.
I'm trying to pull it back as much
No
as I
Laguna.
can. So like,
His bow tie's
Yeah.
camouflage, so we haven't noticed it. That was what it was.
Okay, I want to start somewhere here because one of the things, I'm sorry I haven't been able to share as much in between, but the reason why we have the people that we have on too is number one, Super Kev loved them. And this isn't going to be the first time we're going to pay homage to Kev. I mean, we could talk about him forever and ever and ever. But remind me if I'm wrong, Trev, but anyway, the point is that he loved Guns and Yellow Ribbons. And the reason why he loved Guns and Yellow Ribbons is because they reflected what he felt. And as you know, in the early days of Arteta, when I was going supersonic and losing my mind, Super Kev was the calm voice, and he was a fan at the end of the day. And not only did he play the game and win everything, but he was a fan, and he always felt like Guns and Yellow Ribbons reflected what it meant to be a true fan. And he loved Ferguson Trev. And Trev, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were there for Kev's debut. I'm going to let you have the floor.
Yeah, I was there for Kev's debut, but that would be talking about me, Sophie, and that wouldn't be fair because Kevin Campbell was. I hadn't known it, to talk to. I haven't known him ever such a long time, just a few years, you know. And I soon learned that I was getting to know a very, very special person, and it shocked me that someone who had played football to that level and who I'd adored all of my watching football life was talking to me, and he was talking to me as a friend. And the longer we talked, the more it occurred that we were quite similar. You know, we both went to the Arsenal as kids. You know, we both did the same things. We both had the same ways of getting in the ground without paying. You know, because neither of us had much money. The only thing that turned out differently was that he ended up on the inside of those windows in the East Stand, and I ended up on the outside catching the shirts that they used to throw out the dressing room window. You know, and he invited me on a couple of his to do that dinner thing with him, and then I did
guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah, and I did a couple of hour things with him, you know, and the two things that come to mind when I soon learned that I was fortunate enough to be talking to a very special person was, firstly, he said to me, we were talking before the show one night. He said, "Oi, Ilzy, where was you born then? Where? How did you become a Gooner?" So I said, "Well, Kev, I don't tell many people, but I was born in Tottenham. I was born in the Tottenham side of North London, and born into a mainly Tottenham family." And he went, "Was ya?" He said, "Oh, well, we better not mention that too much." So I went, "All right, fair enough, thanks, mate." And then as soon as he pressed the live button, right, he come out with his big the smile only he could have,
Stitched you
right?
up, didn't he?
And he went, "Right then, Ilzy, where was you born then?" And I went, "Oh, you've done me, Kev. Done me straight away."
Typical.
Absolutely. And that got me relaxed because I don't do many podcasts. I do the podcast with my good mate Fergus. I'm not overly confident in myself, but Kev put me right at ease. And just before Fergus comes in, because I'm getting my words in now, because once Fergus starts talking, he won't stop, you see, right? So right. You guys will know it, right? This is how the man thinks. He was telling me the story about when he went to sign his first contract with George Graham, yeah, and he went into the Marble Halls, and George Graham put a contract in front of him and said, "Yeah, Kev, sign here." So Kev is only a young lad. Kev, you know, George is the all-hallowed manager of Arsenal. And Kev looked at it and went, "Oh, I'm sorry, Gaffer, I can't sign that. It's not enough, right?" So George said, "Get out of the office, or wherever it was." And a week later, he had Kevin back in. He said, "Yeah, Kevin, sign this one this time." And Kevin said, "I turned it over, and it still had the same terms on it." And he said, "I can't sign it again, Gaffer." And this is when you learned what the man was like, right? He said to me, "Do you know why I couldn't sign it?" I said, "Why is that, mate?" He said, and Kevin said, "I wasn't worried about me, but I was a professional footballer and I wanted to look after my mum and my family, right?" He was putting other people first, even at that young age, right? He wanted to look after others. And from that moment onwards, I was just in awe of the man, I was fortunate enough to have conversations with him. He used to, if we were playing on a Saturday, he'd WhatsApp me in the morning to say, "Ilsey, we're all right today. The tats will be out today, son. We'll be all right," you know. And yeah, it just so pleased, so chuffed. I've cried and I've laughed and I've cried and I've laughed this week. And I didn't really know the man as much as you guys, you know. But that's how Kevin got you. Once Kevin got you, you were just in his awe. I was just in awe of the man. What a great friend. And thank you for inviting me on here to say me bit. And I'll let Fergus get a word in now, guys.
Thanks, Trev.
Wow. You know what? I feel a little bit of an imposter on here. Looking at the likes of Red Nose John, Alan, Stu, Trevor, Lee, and all the others that have been on here who have met and known Kev so well. As much as I had a lot of communication with Kev, and I've been on Highbury Squad with you, Sophie, and on Lee's and Dan Potts' show with Kevin, and he's been on our podcast. I felt like I knew the man, but I never actually physically met him. But I always felt like he was like a good friend. And on Saturday morning when Lee sent us the message through, and I'd been in the shower and stuff like that, and my phone rang, and my wife, Trevor, was on the on the phone. I picked the phone. He said, "Have you heard?" And I went, "No." I said, "Oh no." And he went, "Yeah." And Trev was crying down the phone to me, and that's what Kev done to people. That's you know, he had that impact on people. He was just a nice man. You know, he said about tell the people you love them. I love all 6 of you on here. You are good friends of mine, and I'm very proud to say I love you people, and that's because of Kev. I'm quite an open person that way. I'll wear my emotions on my sleeve, but it's just been amazing to hear what people have said. And Sophie, your opening poem, verse, whatever it was, you ruined me. You had me in tears. It was absolutely stunning. Such a tribute to him. And I know we've communicated over the last few days and weeks, and it's been difficult for you. But you know, it's just devastating. Like, we shared a birthday, me and Kev. 4th of February is our birthday. He's a year older than me, although he looked about 10 years younger than me. Nothing, Trevor. It was just, it's just shocking to know a man so young who was an athlete, who was fit, clean living, everything else is taken away from us. It's just not fair, really. I'm privileged to be part of this. I'm privileged that Trevor took the time to be part of the Arsenal Fans Forum and communicating with it's a forum on Facebook that I set up, and he'd communicate with general normal fans from right around the world, just as Kevin Campbell, but not Kevin Campbell footballer, just Kevin, whatever it was. He'd just dip in, dip out. He'd come on our podcast, Trevor, which you'd be aware of, and all of a sudden we get like Kevin in the chat going, "Go on, Hilsey," or "Yeah, well, that's exactly Ferg," or "Ferg, you're talking crap," or yeah, whatever it might be. But he would just interact with us as a normal person, not a Premier League footballer, not a man of wealth, fame, whatever. He was just one of us. And
not a Division 1 FA Cup, League Cup double winner, European Cup Winners' Cup winner, saved Everton from relegation and West Brom as well, and also got Nottingham Forest promoted and won the Youth Cup as well. That guy, you mean?
Yeah, but he's just normal to me. He was just Kev. Super Kev.
that season,
that was his gift.
That season in 1994, when we won the Cup Winners' Cup and Smudger, who we had on earlier, scored the winning goal in the final. Without Kevin Campbell playing for the Arsenal, we don't reach that final.
No,
we don't reach that final.
I think it's underrated, isn't it, Trev? That season for him.
I can still remember him scoring that goal at home in the semi-final against Paris Saint-Germain, I think.
Yep.
And, and the year before, we'd won the league, and with I would argue you could put an argument for it being the best side we ever had. Not the year before, excuse me, 91. We won the league with arguably the best side I've ever watched play football at the old stadium. And Kevin Campbell was a massive influence towards the end of the season, in particular, right? Massive influence in that season. He was a big part, and he was playing in a team that had some superb strikers, and he still banged the goals in week after week after week. Such a superb man. Just, if I can take another minute of your time, Sophie, I wasn't.
Yeah, before we let you go, totally. Go on.
I wasn't sure whether to mention this or not, but it shows the class of the man that we're dealing with here. You know, a couple of years ago, my brother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer, and Kevin, I was talking to Kevin one day, and I mentioned it, and we were talking, and he said, you know, would it help if I sent him a video? He's a Man United fan, Phil, sadly passed away now. And I said, do you know what, Kev? I'm sure that would lift him. I'm sure that would lift the whole family. And he sent the video, right? Now, and I showed it to Phil, and Phil, it raised him. You could see it, a sick man, it physically raised him, made him feel $1 million in an awful situation. And, but what shows the quality of the man, is how special the man was. He'd done his bit, right? He'd lifted my brother-in-law and made him smile. But he didn't leave it at that. Every few weeks after, he'd send another message. I wouldn't mention it to him or say to him, you know, he'd just send me another message and say, could you pass this on to Phil? Just checking he's okay, you know. Amazing, unbelievable man.
You never told me that. You never told me that, Trev. You told me he sent the first message, but I didn't know he sent ongoing messages.
No, I've spent, knowing that I was coming on here tonight, I've spent the day looking through the shows I did on YouTube, fortunate enough to do with Kev, and I found them videos on my phone, and I was off again. Oh Jesus, what's the, you know, just upset again. But yeah, so I had to say that, you know, and
no, I love that you shared that.
Just to bring it back to a smile, Soph, right? And anyone that's watching, or you guys on here, Kevin done a little bit of a series of YouTube shows with John Burridge, John Budgie Burridge. If you've never heard of John Burridge, John Burridge was an amazing goalkeeper, right? Fantastic. And a gentleman of some quality entertainment. And him and Kevin just hit it off on YouTube. If you want to think about Kevin and smile, look that up, right? Look that up and just take in what they're.
I'll share them. I'll do a post, and I'll share them with. Maybe we'll bring him on, you know, for a future show. I love that you brought that up because he.
There's always really bad.
Kev did though. Do you know what he did, guys? I said to Kev, I'm a massive fan of Budgie Burridge. He's brilliant. And about an hour later, I get some WhatsApp from Kev, and he says, "Look at this, right?" And I start this video, and it's, "Oi, Ilsey, I hear you're a fan of mine." And it was John Burridge, right? It was John Burridge. I thought, wow, when did it don't end? His kindness and his thoughtfulness didn't ever end.
It was
Just
eternal.
a bloke like me off the streets, right? Hey. A ruffian off the streets of Highbury, right? And I was a ruffian when I was
Tottenham, not Highbury. Tottenham.
Now, you know. But I was like, just felt like I was his best mate. I know I wasn't his best mate, but I felt like I was.
That's,
you know,
everybody keeps saying that. That's what I've been telling people. My friends who don't really understand the whole Kevin Campbell thing because they don't follow football, or that I said, this is a man who had 40,000 best friends. I mean, he was 40,000 people's best friends, and yet you never felt like you were competing for his attention or friendship or anything like that.
We're gonna go on for Fergus because we're gonna bring in a couple of other people.
Two tiny comments, and then yes, I'm done. Mike, that's a very valid point. I think if Rocky Rocastle was around today, I think Kevin Campbell and Rocky Rocastle would be equally as popular.
The legends, 100%.
Yeah, the legend as of Kevin Campbell is definitely a player of the people. And the other thing Alan Smith said, Sophie, earlier on, is such a sad podcast. It started off somber, but it hasn't been a sad podcast. It's been a beautiful podcast.
I was
a
going to say
remembrance
that at the
podcast.
end. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I've loved it. Thank you. And thank
you for coming
inviting
on.
me. Thank you.
Thank you for putting on the Dickie Bow with the shirt and looking as sharp as Kevin would
You guys,
be very,
you guys
very
shamed
proud.
me into action.
At
You guys
ease, you
shamed me into
guys.
action.
Yeah,
At ease.
didn't we?
Take care.
Yeah.
Do you know,
All
do you know
right.
what
Lee
lads
over there.
were just saying here, which is unbelievable? Someone asked me this question today, like, you know, what is your favourite moment with Kevin, like, you know, and you know, I could go on and there's loads of stories and all that, but the best moment that I ever had was the first message that he sent to me, and it went something along the line, "Hi Lee, I'm at the Emirates today. Would you like to meet up for a drink?" That is the best.
Magic.
That is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because
And it went on from there. Years of magical moments. Yeah.
And it cascaded into all of us having an opportunity to meet him and form our own relationship.
Yeah,
I mean, Lee, you are.
That's
Sophie,
what it was. And when
listen, I wanna encapsulate a couple things at the end with Lee. There's no doubt about that. And hang around. I know a lot of you are just like, just keep going. We'll go on forever, but we'll do that. We'll bring in our guests, and then we're going to do a little bit at the end as well. So we're going to mix it up a little bit here. We've got. Can I just introduce this guy? He is one of Kevin's favorite people in the whole world. In fact, when I was starting off podcasting, there were 2-3 men who supported me and gave me, well, firstly, Jeff Arsenal introduced me to Danny from A Bird Count Wonderland. And it went on from there. I was doing radio here live in Los Angeles, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. That's where I actually first met Kev. I interviewed him in LA. And I then went on. When that happened, these boys were doing radio on hospital shows and all sorts of stuff. And they were like, can you come on and talk about Landon Donovan? Because I was covering LA Galaxy, and they wanted to do Landon Donovan stuff. And they were so supportive. When you talk about Big Al, who came on and from Everton and talked about, well, there's no Big Al, and I put them all together. And representing Toffee TV is one of my favorite football people in the world, and that's Ped. And he's been waiting very patiently backstage.
He loved Toffee TV.
I love Toffee. He loved those guys. And let's bring Ian as well, Ian Stone, while we're here too, because Ian's he's an award-winning comedian. We can't keep him waiting any longer in the back. And Super Kev thought he was bloody hilarious. And Ian Stone, handbrake off, one of Arsenal community's favorite men too. And these two are funny, and I'm sure we'll get some great stories here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I apologize for waiting. I blame Perry Groves. Why don't you just guys send a shitty tweet to Perry Groves? Okay. There, I'm done.
I listen. I was happy. The alternative was watching the England highlights, so I'm very happy to be here.
Before we get to Ian, I wanna kind of switch it back to a little bit of Everton and Ped. Your club, we said it to Al, are smashing it, and you wrote me. You and I've been communicating quite a bit. And you said to me, Soph, you guys have so many players, so many world-class players, you know, so many heroes. We haven't had as many. And Super Kev is pretty much there at the tippy top. And, you know, you see images like this, the video that they put out. Ped, what's going on in Toffeeland?
Just love, and just, you know, it's all for Kev. Let's be honest. It's embarrassing when I have to listen to like what he won as an Arsenal player, and then what he did for us, which was obviously save us from relegation. It feels like a little bit embarrassing because I feel like the man deserves a little bit more.
You guys have never ever been relegated because of him. This is massive.
I know, but I feel like players like Kev deserve a little bit more. We've had a few players over the last few years that deserve just a little bit more. than just saying I saved us from relegation. But Kev really did come in and save us. And of course, there's famously scored the winning goal at the Cop as well, which, you know, is obviously to Evertonians, that's a huge thing. But as was said before, there are Everton players who are considered legends, and I have no time for them whatsoever. I honestly have no time for them. They're not almost like human beings. They just almost dismiss the fan base. Kev couldn't be more the opposite, as everyone said. You know, I last seen him outside, on Goodison Road, really close to the Winslow, just before the Bournemouth game, the must-win game at the end of the season before last to stay in the Premier League. And I seen him, and he was getting mobbed, and I just shouted him. And you know, when you shout someone, he might just think, oh, it's another person shouting me. But he looked up, he seen it was me, he came over and gave me a big hug, and he just went, "It'll be all right. Don't worry about it." And that's exactly what you need before a game like that, when you know your whole survival is on it. And a lot of people feel that same way. You know, I've been watching this for the last hour or so, and you know, he'd go on anybody's podcast, you know, big, small, whatever it is. He'd go on, he'd talk to them, and he'd talk to you like a human being, and he'd take your point on board. And I think that's the way everyone's feeling, is just that shock, but also that just pure love is coming through as well, because, you know, he is an Arsenal fan. We all know that, but you can tell how much he really, really loved Everton. And I think if there was a game where Arsenal, maybe the need for Everton was to win more than was Arsenal, I think on that day he'd want Everton to win. And obviously, the last game of the season, I was at the Emirates, and obviously the atmosphere was very tense. And obviously on that day he'd want Arsenal to win. Of course he would. But I think, you know, the general feeling is love. And the club, I fall out with my club quite often. If anyone watches my channel watches our channel. But I can't fault them on when it's respecting old players, and certainly with Kevin, can't fault them. They go the extra step for people like Kevin Campbell, and you know, he'll never be forgotten as an Everton football player.
Just special what they've done straight away, so isn't it? Like, you know, put the billboard up, and you know, I know what Everton meant to Kevin and the fans, and you know, like one of the gutting things was it's great when you hear that, because me and Kevin, it was always Arsenal and Everton games. So and one of the things we said we'd always do was go and watch a game where I wanted Everton to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we could want it together, like, you know.
Everton Liverpool, innit?
Well, that was the one who said, like, we go to the Merseyside derby, we'll do that. And I'm going to choke up now, but through my Arsenal commitments, it never happened. But Kevin always would say, "Don't worry about it. We'll do it next year. We'll sort it." And you know, it never happened. You know, and I am going to get myself up to an Everton game at some stage, and put an Everton shirt on and cheer on the Toffees for one game only. I'm going to do it. Like,
do you know what? As bad as that Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham was for us, Kevin, he doesn't hate. You know, that day made him feel very uncomfortable. He
was torn.
He was like, can they both just lose? I mean, he hated that day. Torn. I say that word loosely related to Kevin, but oh my goodness, that was just one of those. He's like, let's get a spaceship and go to Pluto. I said, I told you, let's get a spaceship. And yeah, worst day ever. Ian, you've been a fan for a really long time, and you've been to a lot of Everton Arsenal games as well. And I have to say, Ped knows this, Everton are my secret crush. I've never announced that live before, but they are my secret crush.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were a secret crush. It's so, I mean, I'm on this pod with so many people who knew him way better than me. I met him a couple of times. I met him on a train. The first time I met him was on a train coming back from up north. I don't know, I've been doing a gig or something, and we're on a Sunday, and I, for whatever reason, I found myself sitting opposite him, and I introduced myself. Hello, I'm Ian. I just said I'm Ian, and we're chatting. And about an hour, we're just talking about football. And I just thought, this is just one of the best hours of my life. I'm just talking about football with Kevin Campbell. And at one point, he suddenly goes, the thing is, Stoney, and I thought he knows who I am. He knows who I am. I never said my full name, and it was such a moment for me. And I think because from what I hear and the stories I've read, he liked to play around like that and to surprise people. I've read a few stories like that, and I thought, and it was genuinely a thrill for me. And then I did the podcast with you guys. And of course, every morning, it was just brilliant. It was so brilliant just to chat to him. And I think, was it Clive who made the point earlier that he never, we're fans and he's a player, but I never felt that separation that I do with some ex-players. I mean, actually, quite a lot of the Arsenal lot, I don't get that. I don't get that with Wrighty. I don't get that with Parler. But Kevin Campbell, he just made you feel like your opinion was just as valid, even though he knew 1,000 times more than any of us about football, and he played the game. And I also, by the way, I loved his early morning tweets every morning. About 4 hours after he sent them, I'd look up, have a good morning, have a dicky bone morning. I think, you guys like, oh, 4 Kev, what are you doing, mate? But he obviously liked to get up. Did he get up and do that and then go back to bed? But
No,
he never went.
He had already been up for an hour when he would tweet those out, and I got them at night. It was great.
I loved all that, and Ped, the fact that Everton felt the same way about him. I've watched a few of the videos. I watched a video of him outside Goodison, just getting so much love from Everton fans, and it seems to me that he was one of those guys. Just whoever he played for, people loved him, and it's rare, isn't it, in life you meet someone as positive as him. I mean, I genuinely, I can on the count on the fingers of one hand, people who've been quite as inspirational to me as Kevin Campbell. That positivity,
But he Winslow as well. He'd go in the Winslow and buy people a pint as well. He'd put money behind the bar. He's done that a few times. Yeah, he's done that a few times. When
the first night we met him, he wouldn't let us buy him drinks. He was buying. I remember Ola, our friend Ola, was like, Kevin Campbell just bought me a pint. Like, where did that come from?
He go behind the bar and pull him.
Mike, can you just play that video real quick?
Which one?
Anyone that we have outside of either Winslow or Goodison Park.
This is from 11 March 2018, which I say, other than 26 May 1989, this was my greatest day as an Arsenal supporter. By the way, this is edited, so don't worry. Don't get all nervous when you know what's coming.
Is there anyone watching that video who doesn't know what the Pope said, by the way? I can't imagine there is. There we go. I mean, he was a fan.
I'm not trying to trick people. I was just trying to use
I was talking about the Super Kev one outside.
I played that while Alan was. I played that while you were having your moment.
Fine. Oh, right. So yeah, when I lost it. Okay, that's fine. Well, Ped's here now. Maybe we could just play that one more time.
Yeah, it's only 7 seconds, so hold on.
It's literally, 7 seconds of beauty.
Of joy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Super Kev, Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
That is lovely. It's so lovely. And I've watched loads of these. I've watched so many videos. Like the one I really enjoyed was him talking about Wayne Rooney when he was 14.
Yeah.
And he played with him and it was in the reserves. And it was just the wonder in him. I think he had a sort of childlike thing about him that he just loved it in a way that we love it, really. I don't think there was any real difference between us. I mean, except that he obviously played the game and was brilliant at it. But when you're talking to him, you just felt it's just me and Kev. I like I say, there's very few people I've ever met in my life that had that warmth. When Mike asked me to do this, I thought I didn't really know him that well, but somebody said on here half an hour ago about how he had 40,000 best mates, and it did feel a bit like that. It did, even though I met him twice or 3 times, and I feel really honoured, and I'm glad that I came on. And as like
We're
I say,
glad you
listening
came
to
on.
highlights was a relief.
He tells great stories, Kevin, and he can captivate a room when he does. But when he tells the one about like people like Gravison, and he reveals things like that, it's just pure magic.
He's great at telling a story.
Great.
Yeah.
So I know they're probably exaggerated slightly, like we all do, but like you know,
I've never done that. Never.
What's funny is,
do you want
what's funny is,
go
sorry,
on,
I was
Ped?
just gonna say, just a couple of little things. I've actually got a shirt since it's in the studio on the wall now. We've got like a wall just dedicated to Kev at the moment, and it's just got a number 9 on, and it's from his first full season when he signed. And I refused to get his name. Duncan Ferguson was my idol growing up, and he'd left the number 9 shirt. And when Duncan left, I mean, you know, you want to speak to me, Mum? I literally destroyed my house when I smashed up everything. Honestly, I really did. That's not even a lie. I like anything I had, I just smashed it up. So when Kev come, I refused to get his name on the back. I just got the number 9 because he just saved us. And I just didn't want his name on the back. I just wanted the number 9. I didn't want sort of like that heartbreak again. But what I remembered the other day was I actually spoke about Kevin Campbell in my wedding speech in 2006. I got married in America. And I actually got married in a kilt in honor of Duncan Ferguson because my wife loves Duncan Ferguson. I don't mind saying that. Plenty of pictures. But I actually spoke about Kev because on the day I met my wife, Kev had a stinker against Ipswich and we drew 0-0. And I told this story of how I was so pissed off with Kev. I went out, I got drunk, I met this girl and I ended up marrying her, and it was all because of Kev. It's all his fault. And I only sort of remembered that recently. So even someone that I didn't get to meet personally till 2017, he was having an influence on my life much earlier. So, and I told him, and he just laughed, as in like, "Shut up, you idiot." But especially as like it was a failing of his not to score against Ipswich Town. And I remember the date, October 13, 2001. We drew 0-0. We wore a silver kit. I remember everything about the day, and he missed a couple of sitters. And I told the story of my wedding. So Kevin Campbell's literally the fault of my whole life since 2001. It's all down
sliding
to Kev.
doors moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's just
good,
basically
so
my
good.
life. Everything has got something to do with Everton. There's always something to do with Everton in my life, and Kev played an absolutely huge part in my life.
You know, I love that because when we had we did an episode with Kevin Jack Wilshere, and you know, Jack Wilshere was kind of that player we were hoping was going to be the next super great, and injuries, you know, didn't really allow that to happen. But we were talking about even the Norwich goal and his performance against Barcelona, and Kevin and PSG and the semi-final in Copenhagen. And I said to both of them, we can put life experiences to where were Arsenal playing that day? That's right. My sister had a baby. Oh, that's right. Arsenal were playing Chelsea. You know, that's the life of a football fan. And they get that because both, of course, hate, you know, coming up through the Arsenal ranks and stuff like that. But our lives are built around football, Ian. Totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kev did major contribution to 94 to the Cup Winners' Cup. I mean, it was, and that I think possibly the most fun I've ever had as an Arsenal fan in Copenhagen. And I think we all felt that. And he scored. What were we saying? He scored the winner, didn't he, in the semi-final against?
Yeah. And
against
you know,
PSG.
he weren't meant to play that game. He was Paul Merson was ill, and he that's why he wore the number 10 that day. And he says that story. He was meant to be subbed that day, and you know, gets the winner. Unbelievable.
Well, that whole run and then that final, and so you know, to then get to know him a little bit. Someone who's given me just honestly, genuinely one of the best nights of my life. 4 nights actually. I couldn't get back. I sort of stayed for a couple of days. I just wanted it to keep going, and Kev was such a big part of that. And I just wanted to pop on really and say hello and thank him and thank him because what a brilliant life he had, and it was appreciated by so many people.
Thank you both so much for popping in, and I'm sorry that you had to wait a little bit, but We so appreciate you. And this isn't the end. This is just the beginning in terms of talking about Super Kev and everything that he's given us throughout his career, and also those of us lucky to be his friends. So as Kev would say at this point, I salute you at ease and thank you for joining us.
Cheers,
See you
boys.
guys.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
See ya.
All right, we have
brilliant stuff. We have
a very
go on, Mike.
time-sensitive guest to bring on.
We do. We do.
Absolutely
Can
do.
I?
Yeah,
can I
absolutely.
take it? Can I take it from here?
You got
Okay,
it.
so we've got a really super special guest, and let me tell you, this is what Super Kev does. It is this man's anniversary. Okay, he's a total legend. He's been on the show many times with Kev. The two of them had a very special relationship. Lee Judges will remember this time well. If I just say Sheffield Wednesday, I think you'll all remember that year, that season. Please bring in a great friend of the show, my friend, an absolute baller of a legend, Mr. John Harks. Welcome to Squad Central again, John.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you, guys. Wow. Great to
to
be
see you,
on.
John.
And, you know, obviously, it's not great to be on a certain occasion, but really tribute to Kev. How can I turn it down? Even on the 32nd anniversary, my wife was like, you better go say some few words to Sophie about Kev. I was
Bless
like, all right,
her.
I'll dip outside. And so here we are. Yeah. How are you? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
think
good.
we're doing okay.
We're
And
okay.
we know it's your anniversary, John. So we're just going to let you. I think Lee Judges went to all of the games against Sheffield Wednesday. That was a magical season.
did.
Kev loved talking about that season.
Sorry
So
about that,
I'll let
John.
you guys
Sorry
have an
about that.
exchange.
But you scored. You scored. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, he didn't. He didn't just only score. Come on.
Oh, yeah, that
you know, but
it was
the
a banger.
Merce come back with a good goal. But yeah, what wonderful memories they were. And we, you know, Sheffield Wednesday at the time were really tough team to play against and beat. And you know, like you know, heartbreak for you guys in with the Andy Linnigan goal as well. Like, you know,
Yeah.
But,
thanks for reminding me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And Kevin played in every minute of
The
every
tears
game.
are still on Wembley's pitch, the old Wembley pitch. But I'll tell you, you know, that was a special time. Not just for Sheffield Wednesday. It was a special time for Arsenal. And, you know, obviously, you know, the success that came through, not just the club itself, but from the players. And Kev, you know, Super Kev was a big part of that. You know, obviously, who could forget the days of, I mean, God, you see Kevin Campbell running at you, or even Ian Wright, or anybody, you're just like, you're a little bit freaked out. So, but, you know, those are special moments. And, you know, we constantly have looked back on those games. And even to this day with Chris Waddle, we would talk about it, and he'll get so upset, and I'll be, well, everybody has their moments. Everybody has their time. And it was Arsenal's time. It was Kev's time. And it was, for them, it was a special, you know, situation. And I actually am very grateful to be a part of it. When you're part of history, it doesn't matter if it's your history or if it's just football in general, but to be part of Arsenal's history, even on the losing end. Yeah, I get that. But there's bigger picture things here. There's bigger relationships that are in the game. And, you know, when you're able to rub elbows with players like that, or when you ever to crack a smile with a player like that, or a sarcastic jab on the pitch, and those are the things that you take with you forever. It doesn't, you know, it's not just about the goal. It's not about, you know, losing the last seconds and, you know, that corner kick. But although, you know, we can talk about that, and I'm still going through therapy for that. But it's more about the special relationships and what you take in a positive there, because the game connects us all, and that's why we're all here, right? The game connects us, and whether you're a Yank, you know, from America trying to bust into the Premier League and make it work, or, you know, you're Super Kev, who's, you know, just showed time and time again what not only a good footballer he was, but just what a big-hearted man. Always careful and thoughtful about the way he approaches everybody, relationships, friendships. Every day he would wake up. And so how could you not let a guy like Kev shine a light on you in your own life? To me, I just thought, man, I was very, very lucky to be a small, wee cup of tea in Arsenal's history and Kev's history.
Mhm.
So I'll always take that with me forever, to be honest.
Hoxie, you're an absolute legend, and
Legend.
Super Kev loved you,
Oh.
and those conversations meant everything to him in a time where football was magic in a different way. And please thank Mrs. Hawks for me. Like, I'm going to
I
send her
will.
some flowers or something.
It was
Happy
a quick sip
anniversary.
of champagne and get back outside. I was like, all right, I'll be
Go
right back.
enjoy your anniversary. Happy anniversary
will.
to you guys.
I will.
And we'll
Thank you,
talk
guys.
during Copa
Lovely to
America.
talk to you.
Hopefully the US can do a good job. So thanks, Hoxie.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for connecting me and Kev again.
Love you, mate.
I really owe a lot to you, so thank you so much.
Love you, mate. Take care.
Love
Happy
you guys.
anniversary.
Take care.
Thanks,
See ya.
Take care.
Well, that's unbelievable. That is because when that game finished, Sheffield Wednesday, Arsenal, with the replay, I got stuck at King's Cross that night, and I had to wait for the night bus, no trains going, and everything like that. And years later, me and Kevin ended up having a drink in King's Cross. And I said that day, I said, oh, bloody hell, I got stuck up here on the FA Cup final. And you know, like, well, of course, he said, of course I didn't. I got the coach home. But, you know, it was like...
He's such a shit. Honestly, he's
yeah, he said
his
I was at
sense
home,
of-
like, you know what I mean?
We're
Like,
going to have to just do a show on his sense of humor.
yeah, it's just some. I could tell the night about that. That was an amazing. I've got so many stories, but like that was amazing.
I know.
amazing
We're
day.
gonna do that, right? Are we gonna do some video? Listen, we're
Yeah,
in
here-
2 hours 20. I'm here. I don't care. This is
Here's
about
what we have
Kev,
left.
so we'll
We
go
have-
on. But we've got some folks. Oh, can I bring?
Yep. That was one of the things we were going to do, is bring on Dan.
Potsy.
Go on, Potsy.
Potsy still up.
How we doing? How we
Well
doing?
done. Good to
Probably
see
the
you,
worst sticky bow in history, but it's got to be done, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Well,
What is going on here? Hold on a
We're
second.
not
Let's
being
get a
horrible,
close up
Dan,
of
but
this.
Mike's let us down. He got flushed. He got bullied into it. Like,
Why
you know
did you
what I
put
mean?
the
But
shirt on, man? Why did you put the shirt on? Look,
There we go.
looks all right. You know, look,
I was gonna go shirt, and I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna look like Albert or Mike. I'm just gonna wear the
No,
Arsenal
no,
shirt.
well, Albert rocks it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter what Mike wears.
Yeah, man.
I've displayed all my insecurities because I basically let Fergus and Trev bait me into making a wardrobe
They
change.
looked honestly, they looked so dapper, those two, man.
They did.
Big up
They
Trevor.
really
Great
did.
effort.
Yeah, all right.
Great
Well,
effort, I've got to say. I
the
mean,
only bad thing
me,
is just forget about that. Like, you know.
me and Lee look like we're about to do the walk of shame from a night out or something. You know what I mean?
I think I have to bring
we'll
this.
Take it, we'll take it.
I think I have to bring this out again. By the way, Magic hasn't had you waiting in the green room, has he, Potsy? Because
No, everyone else has been waiting.
Because
in the
in true
Oh,
Kev
I ain't said a
fashion,
word yet.
I haven't been able to give any cards out. And Kev, you know, I know he want me to hand out a card. Even Newman's behaving, which is outrageous. So I,
Big up Newman,
you know,
man. I'm
Big
impressed.
up
Big up all
Newman.
the chat as well, man. Big up to all the chat.
Big up, Newman.
So
There
who
you
got
go.
that yellow? Me?
Brook the neck. No, I've
you got
I've
got
a
it from
independent-
Lee and Dan for putting on the shirt. That's
All right,
what the yellow
you
card
know what? I'll
is.
take that. I'm going to really
Scandalous.
try not to get a second one on this show though, because here's what we have left for the show. We're gonna at this point give Albert his last word. Say goodbye to Albert.
He hasn't even said a first word. He can. Do you want to just stay, Albert? You're not going in.
He's got the most sexiest voice we ain't heard it.
He has, and I want him
Look
to
at me
say.
acting
if
like
you-
I have any control over what's about to happen
Yeah,
here.
no. Albert, do you
okay.
want to just stay? You want to just stay with us?
Well,
Do you
of
have to
course-
get
of
up
course.
early?
Of course, I can stay. I've got a date with Dan tomorrow.
All right.
Oh, look
yeah,
at you.
man.
Here's what I'd like to do. Can we should we bring in another American to even the playing field here? Make it a fair pie. The
Our
guy who
next
never
guest
shows
is-
up for any podcasts, okay, and but has a very special place in Kevin's heart. Bring him in.
If not for this man, I would not know any single one of you. I would not know Kevin Campbell. I would have never
Seriously.
crossed
Well,
paths
let's go
with any
now
of you.
then, because he's just ruined my night. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, Andy Rhodes, Denver, Colorado, the man who got me into podcasting for some reason. And,
Salute, Andy. Come on, you know how it works here at the Highbury Squad. There you go.
I don't know
Well
if I'm
done.
more angry at Soph calling me American or I have to podcast with Lee again.
Okay, so yes, you can give me. Finally, I'll give myself a. Yeah, there you go. I'm giving myself a yellow card. There you go. How about that?
How is everyone?
Born in Hemel Hempstead.
We're at that point where we're starting to laugh a little bit.
I have a good story I'd like to share then, and I'll
do it.
So, Mike was over in England, and I get as Mike does, I get ping, 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 ping on my phone. I'm driving up into the mountains, and Mike's pick up your phone. Pick up your phone. I'm like, you haven't called me, and I'm just getting text after text, and I'm going through this mountain road, and every once in a while, you get a little bit reception. So I'm driving, and I pick up the FaceTime, and all I see is Kev's face. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? And the phone cuts out. So I'm driving through these mountain passes in Colorado, going 75 miles an hour with my newborn baby in the back. My wife says, "What is
Wait, you're going
on?"
75 with a newborn baby in the back?
Yeah, and some friends. And
Sure,
my wife's
fine.
like, "What is going on?" I'm like, Mike's with an Arsenal legend, and he's FaceTiming me. I need to. 30 minutes later, we get to this little village. We pull over. I FaceTime Mike back, and it's Kev. And he's like, "Hey, I heard it was your birthday." And I'm just like, I'm speechless. I have absolutely no idea what to say. And I say, "Well, thank you so much for calling me. And how's your day going? Let me see your little guy." And he was wearing an Arsenal kit. And he just took that time, right? And then I thought, get off the phone. Mike texts me like, "I'm with Kevin Campbell." And I'm just thinking, this is unreal to me. And I'm thinking, okay, for about 30 seconds, I got to live in Kevin's world. And then that evening, my phone pings. You have a friend request on Facebook, and it's Kev. And how do you have that, Mike?
Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Yeah, I
Wow.
look. Some
And-
things
and-
change for the better, I guess.
So you're
It's been-
Facebook pinged.
So I'm Facebook pinged, and it's friend requests, and it's Kevin Campbell. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
this is just bizarre, right? And throughout the tenure, and a lot of you knew him well more than I did. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up, but there were text messages, there were birthday just messages, Twitter DMs, just little, how are you? How's your day going? And it was just such a nice thing for a man of that stature to do. And I know it's been said a lot, but he really was an ambassador between a football club and its supporters, right? He took the time to love everyone that he met. And it was phenomenal to just walk in, and I looked back at some of the podcasts when he passed, and Mike had texted me that morning, and I thought the amount of shit he did for us, and just, that one pod where the four of us played the game of catchphrases, Mike. It was me, you, Lee, and Kev. And we just had such a laugh for 2 hours. And it was just, yeah, he was a phenomenal human being. And like I said, he's what an ambassador should be between the supporters and the club that they support. He was just phenomenal.
100%. That's the job that he should have had at Arsenal.
Yeah, totally. And Mark brings up a
Keep this up,
great
keep this
comment
up.
here. And with Andy here, I think it's appropriate to show this clip, everyone.
Yes, Mark, thank you for providing an excellent segue to this here. Let me just find it. Where is it?
Oh,
I see
remember
the
this.
impact that Kevin Campbell has on certain people. This is my friend Aston, who I actually met in Florida a couple weeks ago, but you got to watch this. Joining us today is the one and only Kevin Campbell, fresh off of... this is also a gift for you, Aston, because I think Aston's a fan. One and only Kevin Campbell, fresh off of...
That's
So
that's
that's Kev bringing happiness and cheer to everyone around him.
That's so class, man. That's
Yeah,
such a
it's
good
So
reaction.
awesome.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I must say,
that.
it's mad because big up to Andy as well. I haven't seen you for ages, man. I hope you're well, bro.
Yeah, you too, man.
I've got to say, like, off the back of what Andy's saying, for me, whenever I text Kev, he'd always get back, and it would always be instant, which is mad because, I was saying this to Lee the other day. Like, me and Lee are very close, but I text him back within seconds, and he doesn't text me back within seconds. You know what I mean? And we're well close.
Too busy
Kevin,
performing for the Chippendales.
He's too busy. He's too busy. Yeah, he's too busy being famous. So I'm sitting there a couple of times, and people have messaged me and said, "Oh, look, son's birthday, father's birthday, boyfriend's birthday." All these guys text me, "Would Kev do this? Would Kev do this?" And all I ever used to do was just forward the message on and say, "Kev, just received this. If you've got time, no worries. If not." And what I loved the most was it was instantaneous, but also he would make it personal. There's so many times I see people on Cameo, or I've seen people say happy birthday. They just say, "Hi, Steve, happy birthday from so and so." For me, Kev he wanted that person to receive that message and make it feel personal and make them feel loved and make them feel 10 feet tall. And he had a way of doing that with so many people that you could leave a room believing that you're with the famous guy who should be feeling 10 feet tall, but he's making you feel 10 feet tall. That's crazy. To be able to do that is magic. And, you know, I've got two people that have recently said to me, "Would Kev do me a video?" I remember one which said, literally, "Dad's birthday, 60th birthday. Would you be able to sort something out with Kev?" I literally went to my car and got a buzz back, and the whole video was there on my phone within seconds. Absolutely crazy. You know, my best friends would not do that quickly. You know, that's how crazy it was. And, you know, it would never be, "Hi, happy birthday from Kevin Campbell." I'd listen to the messages myself thinking, "Wow, I'm so excited to send that to that person. They're going to love it." And you could see the reaction from people. You actually felt excited yourself. And it wasn't even your birthday, you know. You would feel excited for it. That was what it was about, man.
I know.
It's incredible.
And Dan, he'd do it in seconds. You would send him a message.
Yep.
And within, I'm not joking, you guys, 10 seconds, you would have that video. I said to him once, I said,
and it was a
"How is
45-second
how is
video. I
it
don't
you
know
and
how
I
that
did-"
works.
No, and I said to him once, I go, "How is it we didn't invent Cameo? We would be," and he loved Only Fools and Horses so much. And I said to him one day, I go, "How is it we didn't invent Cameo? We'd be millionaires." And he was laughing his ass off because there was nothing more he loved than watching episodes of Only Fools and Horses. But you're right, Dan. You were right to him, and within seconds,
It's mad. And, you know,
message.
Lee and I were talking the other day about going to the Winslow, and it was an outstanding night. You know, me, him, and Julian. Julian was in an Arsenal shirt, and he said, "You know, what's that? You might actually might not be able to get in here." And Kev said, "Of course you will, mate. You with me, you'll be fine." And we had Everton fans coming up to us asking for bloody photos because we knew Kev. And how do you know Kev? Unbelievable. Like, it made you feel 10 feet tall, man. I can't lie. It was just a phenomenal evening. Driving back, Julian drove. We dropped him back home. The stories he's telling us about Gaza, the stories he's telling us about his days at Arsenal, the story. And every single time I saw him, I met him, it was never, I never heard the same story with Kev. I always heard a different one. And I think, how'd you do that? Because, you know, like you get like your granddad or your old man. It's like, "I've heard this one before." And you sit back and that was never like that with KC. It was always a different one. And, you know, whether it was Gaza getting dirty boot water chucked over him, or whether it was Gaza going and buying a parrot and flying it around a restaurant and putting it back into a hotel room, all these crazy stories are just mad to me. And I'm like, wow, it was different every single time. And yeah, just gonna massively miss those now because there's so many I haven't heard. I'm sure I haven't heard. Sorry, Soph.
Exactly. No, I was going to say this is a really good opportunity. Mike, I'm just going to take over here for a sec because I'm going to play a couple of short and Albert. I want Albert to have his say as well because Super Kev was a massive supporter of Albert and his channel and everything that he was trying to do. And as you know, Albert comes on the Highbury Squad often and stuff like that. So before we do that, I just want to play a few videos because I think we're in that hour where some of us were like, yeah, we'll just carry on. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to do this. Hold on one second. Here's someone who Super Kev loved very much and is going through his own heartbreak right now.
Just want to do a quick tribute to Kevin Campbell. Kevin, we're absolutely devastated in my household about your passing. And it's just as like myself, my brother's devastated. We love watching you as a player, but from a personal point of view, I'm devastated because you always had time for me as a man. You sort me out. You know, you always send messages when I was down, and you were a very, very formidable opponent when we did podcasts. So I just want to pass my love
and condolences to your two sons, and also pass my condolences to the rest of your family and your friends back in South London, Brixton. Love you loads, Kevin. We'll meet soon.
For him to do that right now is amazing.
Can we just say there, there's not
without
a
being
lot of people don't know what's going on without being specific, but if I can just say there's
What a man.
what
a
Kenny's
man.
going through
What a
is
man.
something that you wouldn't wish on anyone in their life. And
Yeah.
Kenny, we love you and thank you, because Kev loved you so much. And I really appreciate you sending the message from your Finsbury Park sister.
Do you know, Kenny, that
Incredible.
morning that it happened with Kevin, and I burst out crying because Kenny sent me a voice note saying, I'm really thinking of you. I know how close you was to Kevin. For him to do that, it was just an incredible thing. And I'm feeling for him as well at this moment in time. But for him to do that, to just do that now, just shows what a special man he is. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing. And while Clive mentioned something, and there was that's a hard one. I'm going to play another one because Kenny and Dave have something very much in common.
Kevin Campbell, Super Kev. My kind of player, my kind of guy from my generation. Loved you on the pitch. I love working with you. I love people, footballers, and in all walks of life who live, work, and interact with their heart on their sleeve. I am one of those people, and it's probably why I connected with you. I'm absolutely devastated, to be honest. It affected me far more than it should. It's not as if we're close friends, but I felt like we were. So loved working with you on the Highbury squad, and obviously big thanks to Sophie for connecting us over the years. Thanks for all your support, right back to the interview you gave me in 2014 for the Geordie Armstrong book, which was my breakthrough as a writer. So you've been supporting my work for 10 years. All my love to your family at this awful time, obviously sending my thoughts out to them, and anyone else who's grieving the loss of simply a wonderful person and an amazing footballer. Most goals by an English centre-forward in the top flight, not to play for England. You had something in common with Geordie there, the best winger in England, never to play for England. It's probably why you work so well with him.
Lee, that's so true, isn't it? In terms of, by the way,
Geordie Armstrong, by the way, my dad would always, my dad would say, who's your favourite player? And my dad would go straight to that. Geordie Armstrong, was his favourite player. And, never to play for England is incredible. Kevin, a little bit difficult, because even Kevin would tell you the players that he had in front of him at that stage.
Yeah.
That couldn't, you're thinking like Ian Wright couldn't get into that England team. Stan Collins, Andy Cole, Robbie Fowler, the list goes on.
Letitia, there's so many, isn't there?
So many. But he got in a couple of England squads, and, all the times when he used to have a go at me for not cheering on Harry Kane and things like that. And I said, well,
do you remember that conversation that he was so mad at you?
He was mad. England. And I said, well, England treated you like schmitz, you know what I mean? Like, no, they didn't. Don't you say that. I was honoured to be playing there in the squad and all that, But yeah, he's very, very passionate about England. And I used to say to him, I can't. Why do you want to? Why do you want to support them so much, But that's the way he was, And
totally.
Yeah, so unbelievable that both of them never played for England, which is incredible.
Let me bring in and by the way, Dan, thank you so much for getting that message from Kenny as well, and you've been such a huge help in this process. Opposition fans love Kevin, and Lee, a good friend of yours as well, Let's play this one too. This is the time to play all of these messages, I think. Let's go.
Hi there, it's Michael Bridge from Sky Sports News. I tell you what, last Saturday was very hard going on air to talk about Kev and his contribution to Sky Sports News. He genuinely lit up the room. Very, very similar to Ray Wilkins. He'd come in, talk to literally every staff member. He'd sit down with every staff member. And what I loved about him is he'd remember everyone's name, and that is so key, and it means a lot to everyone when someone of Kevin's stature would remember your name. So we're absolutely devastated at Sky. His son's beautiful words on Saturday morning, and you just know how much he was loved by literally everyone. Totally and utterly distraught, not just Arsenal supporters, Everton supporters, Forest supporters, whoever. It was the whole football world / nation, whatever you want to say. I'm still getting over it. He was an unbelievable man. I used to love his stories. You know, that was me being a Tottenham fan, but loving hearing the George Graham squad stories, and I'm sure there was plenty more as well, which I didn't get to hear. But yeah, it's absolutely awful news, and I wish nothing but the best for his family.
Made me cry, that one.
Michael Bridge, yeah.
I messaged Michael back and said, you made me cry. And he apologised, and I said, no, don't. That's what you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? But like, it just sums up, when he probably did go. I know that exactly what he's saying there in Sky. He probably went in there and he'd say hello to everybody and know their name. They've just kept it, you know what I mean? So
exactly. I want to play one right now. I have you guys on. You know what? I'm going to bring in Danny too. Let's just all come in together. Who else is here? Let's bring in Stephen as well. Let's bring in everyone who's here. Go on, Danny. Danny.
I told Stephen I'd give him a heads up, so sorry about that. Sorry, Stephen.
Oh, I'll remove it. Oh, shall I remove? No, shall I remove him or is he here?
I'm here.
Yeah, he's just going to turn his camera.
Okay. All right. Let's just all come in together. Why not? Danny, welcome. Danny, Kev loved Danny. He used to say to me, he goes, that guy, he's a real one, that guy. And you certainly are. And you've got so much Arsenal history under your belt. And Stephen will come back eventually. I don't know where he's gone. But I just want to play as many of these videos because so many people took out the time to send them to us. I want to play video from someone who's really special that stepped in for me on Monday Madness, giving the player and manager perspective. Paul Buckle, Rebecca Lowe's other half, who was the manager of Luton Town. And, he really stepped in at a time when I needed it.
Hi, Soph. It feels a bit strange doing this. Not very comfortable, that's for sure, but an honour. So thanks for letting me say a few words about Super Kev. So first of all, our hearts go out to his family and friends at this really sad time. Just seeing the tributes to him so fitting. What a career. All types of goals. I was just looking at the video of the goals he got. Amazing headed goals, volleys, finishes left, right. Amazing. So what an amazing player. When I saw that bit at the bottom that said 1970 to 2024, that's tough. I mean, that's the year I was born. As you know, I knew Kevin back in the day, got to play alongside him once in that England representative team that we joked about on the show. And he was a man then. And what a man. Privileged to meet up with him again on your show. And he'll be missed. I mean, gone way too early. An absolute pleasure to work alongside him and get to know him again. What can I say? He'll be missed, but I'm sure he'll be looking down on us all and wanting us to kick on because that's the type of guy he was. And that smile and them celebrations, God, did he enjoy his profession and what he did so well and loved by so many people. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. I love to you all. Cheers.
Albert, I'm going to bring you in right now.
Go on,
Can we
sir.
recognize,
I know.
Tyrese in the chat
Listen,
right now?
his
Tyrese in the chat.
Who's in the chat?
Tyrese.
Tyrese.
Yeah.
Up,
Just that we got
Ty.
a chat from Hillbilly Neil saying, "Love to see Kevin Son in his boots." And there's Ty.
Hi, Ty.
We love you, Ty.
We love you. We love Kyle. I hope that the show tonight is giving you guys some comfort.
Big up, Ty. Sending love, man.
Yeah, 100%.
You boys are so special. And you know what? Your dad talked about you all the time. And I loved it when Kyle came on last season and we did shows together. Part of me just thinks, how can the Highbury Squad go on without him? And then there's another half of me that thinks we have to go on because that's what he would have wanted. And I'm so blessed to have gotten to know you boys through him. And even though you support Man City, which we're going to tell you about, the Squaddies used to love giving Kyle shit because he'd come on here and give it the large. And I was hoping at the end of this season we'd be able to reciprocate that largeness to him in some ways. Thanks for popping in. Your dad meant the world to us. So thank you for sharing him with the rest of the world.
He's the horrible Man City one. He's the one that gives it all large.
Kyle's the one. Ty's much more respectful.
He is the one,
yeah.
Tyrese is more gracious.
Wait, Tyrese is more gracious. I thought you were saying it the other way around.
You know what I mean? I think even part of him might have wanted Arsenal to win it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not so sure he's but Kyle he's one of those horrible Man City fans. I'm afraid. You know,
he came on here, Lee. He came on here wearing his Man City shirt.
Oh yeah, he gives it.
Oh no.
And there was he did Albert, and there was one time when he was on with his dad actually, and you know, Super Kev was like, "Son," yeah. But thank you for popping in. I love that. I love that a lot.
It's top quality. You know, they're Kevin's boys. They're just both class X.
They're a carbon copy. Beautiful, respectful, wonderful humans, care about people, understand humanity. They are their father's sons, and we're always going to be here for them no matter what. And we love them with all of our hearts. And thank you for sharing your dad with the Arsenal world, the Everton world, the Forest world, and the West Brom world, and even the Trabzonspor world. Because I tell you, when Kev told me that story about going to Turkey, 30,000 people turned up to his first training. It was that crazy. Albert.
Yes, Soph.
I know what Kevin means to you, and Clive shared a little bit too about what it means to be, you know, a black man in this world, in the football world. And you and I also share, a lot of us have lost parents, and I know Super Kev has been supportive of you. You've been patiently waiting, and I just wanted you to have your moment before we introduce Danny and Stephen, who have also got some Kev stories to share.
Yeah, absolutely. First, it's a pleasure to go on. Sophie, your poem at the start of the show is fantastic. Some of the stories I've listened to, it's been very emotional, but very cathartic as well, from a personal point of view, as I'm sure some people watching, obviously the panel here listening now. But yeah, Clive made a good point actually, because representation is very, very important as a young black man in this country, most definitely, and a South London lad like Kevin was as well. And the reason why I obviously met him, as well as being a fantastic footballer, but you hear a lot about Kevin as the person, and I think that's the bigger testament to him and the company that he kept. But I obviously got to meet Kevin because of you, Sophie. My debut on Highbury Squad, 28th of September, 2021. I remember it very, very well. New Arsenal voices. I came on with James Johnson and Hoggy's daughter Lucy, and obviously Kevin was on there. So it is really weird because obviously when I started YouTube, if someone told me sort of 4 years down the line, you'd get to meet Super Kev, you'd get to podcast with him, you get to laugh with him, joke with him. And I think for me, if you look up the word infectious in the dictionary, I'm sure Kevin's name's beside it. It has to be, because that's not a quality an individual normally has. It's a very difficult quality but Kevin had it in abundance. And I remember sort of talking to him, but I think when I first came onto your show, and you're talking about the ages of the guests, because I don't know how Lucy is and James is, and you saying something about, I'm old enough to be your mum's. I was shaking my head going, no. I said something like, black doesn't crack, and Kevin goes, I know. So smooth, and we laugh.
That was his saying. You said it, but that was his saying.
Yeah. And it's sad, man. I mean, like I said, I'm very, very lucky that I'm 21 plus a little bit of VAT, as I like to say, my famous saying. I was lucky enough to see Kevin play for our beloved club. I know he's obviously loved by the Evertonians and played for Forest and Cardiff and his time in Turkey. But Kevin he's just hilarious, man. I knew Kevin was funny because he's one of the brothers and he's from South London. So I knew that anyway, without having to sort of meet him in the flesh or listen to him on podcasts. But I had him come on, obviously, with yourself, Sophie, for Life Stories, which was I actually didn't think about it at the time. Kevin was very quick-witted, because when you and Kevin came on to Life Stories on my channel, that was episode 11. He just said that classic line. He said, "I'm glad, Albert, that I've just made the 11," in that deep, sort of beautiful, masculine voice of his. And I remember actually meeting him properly for the first time. We played Watford at home back in November 2021. When the game was done, we won 1-0. And obviously there's talk, Kevin might be at the 12 pins, and got to meet him. I mean, he dresses fantastic anyway. He smells fantastic. And the way he embraced me was just incredible, because I grew up with 3 sisters, and I still got a headache from just having them in my life anyway. But so I never had any brothers. So the way Kevin used to speak to me, and like I said, some of the voice notes he used to send me were fantastic, man. We had some really good back and forth, man. We used to say to him, "Oh, Kevin, my chocolate skin brother." He would laugh. And, remember one of the games he covered for TV. I think we've actually played Everton at home 2 seasons ago. We won 4-0 at home. He said, "Albert, I've got a gift for you." I said, "Kevin, I'm on my way to the ground." I said, "Just when you get to the armory, come where the media entrance is, and tell him, tell him Super Kev's got a present for you." I said, "Kev, I don't want to come to the media bit, right?" And I come there and there's cops there and everybody's waiting for me. No, I wouldn't do that to you, Albert. I wouldn't do that to you. But I couldn't get to meet him after the game, unfortunately. But I think the fact that he would just take the time to send me a gift. He sent me a gift in the post. I've actually got it on the back to a beautiful, because he knew my origin was African. So Kevin that was just a thoughtful little thing he did. And yeah, obviously when I found out news about Kevin, that was actually on my birthday, actually. So yeah, my head was spinning a little bit, because he went from kind of getting loads of messages, then finding out about Kevin. Yeah, I think it went from obviously being upset and you saw that outpouring of emotion, but I think when I think of Kevin, it's just the infectious personality that he had, man. Sharp dresser, like I said, smelt fantastic. Some of the stories he used to talk about, because I never heard of the Under the Kosh podcast until a couple of years ago. So both episodes are brilliant, but I have to say 2 things. Firstly, you put out the picture about 2 minutes ago. I've seen a lot of classy things said about Kevin and done, but what the Ritzy Cinema put up in the main part of Brixton, when he was into Brixton, just
Absolutely.
simple things, Sophie, but just class, man, where the guy grew up. But yeah, I think sort of before I finish up, when I watched that Under the Cosh podcast, there was some great stories from Kevin anyway. His time in Turkey, and obviously when he came on my channel with you, Sophie, for live stories, talking about when I asked him about how you got into football, he said he's in his mum's belly. All he knew was kick, 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 kick. I thought that was my dad knew he was going to be a footballer, but yeah, his stories when he spoke about his encounters with Brian Clough. If anybody hasn't heard it, you need to go and listen to it. It is absolutely fantastic.
It's a great story.
But don't listen to the podcast when you're driving. That's what I will advise you, because you will laugh too much. But that was the classic Kevin, and yeah, like I said, yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
You know how you talk about he always smelled good, right? He used to, every time you used to see him, he used to bring a little bottle. You know those little thin bottles of things.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
and he'd go, here, one for you. You. So I go, oh, that's nice, isn't it? Like, what is it? My secret. Not telling you. Right. The next time we bring another one, they go, here, I have this one. Oh, that's nice,
He's
kid. What
such a
is it?
ham. Honestly, he was such a ham.
No matter what it is, just have a little spray of it. My gift to you. Every time, like, I still don't know what it bloody was like. You know what I mean?
Honestly.
All different ones. I hope it was a bloody aftershave. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I'm actually convinced now that it probably wasn't.
Okay.
Okay.
He wouldn't do. It always smelled nice. It was always good stuff. I tell you, it was probably really expensive
he
stuff.
smelled so. I mean, he always smelled
He
so
did
good.
it, yeah.
Okay.
But he'd never tell me what it was like. You know what I mean?
Okay, Danny and Stephen, welcome.
Right.
Hello, Sophie. Hi, everyone.
Guys. Hi.
Hi, Stephen.
So when I said to Tony, she said, so you're planning on doing a 2-hour show? And I said, yes. And she said, good luck with that. It's not going to be 2 hours. And I'm at that point where, fine, if anyone wants to duck out, but I'm here. So Danny is an Arsenal historian. I'm pretty convinced of it. And Stephen, for those who don't know, at No Laguna, Stephen used to work at the Arsenal Direct store back in Finsbury Park back
Arsenal
in the day.
Sport, baby. AWAS massive.
And met Kevin years ago. And Stephen is the man behind the Brook the Neck. I mean,
he made the shirt I was wearing earlier today that I ended up changing out of. I'm sorry to change out of it.
It's all right. He got his airtime. It's all good.
He loved you.
Yeah. He asked me to design that thing. Like, he said it all the time on the show, and he messaged me after I'd done some other things. Had all these ideas. He had like 50 of them. I'm like, Kev, I can do like 3. And Brook the Neck was one, and I sent him my first draft, and it was just a sketch. And he was like, I love it. I'm like, Kev, it's not finished. He's like, no, I love it. Print it. I'm like, it's not ready yet, Kev. And then every time I showed him a draft, he was always just like, I love it. Do it. I'm like, he was always so positive and so on board with everything I did. And I've never honestly had a supporter like him. Everything I did, he was always so supportive of it, and being able to design that, like, with his blessing, and have him wear it, have it on mugs, have it on the show, and like his catchphrase and everything. And that's just one of the things of just being able to do that and communicate with him over that. And it's a huge privilege in my life to have that communication with him. And I'm probably like the least person I know Kevin Campbell, like so many people on here tonight. But like everyone has said, I feel like I've known him for ages. And he, you know, I mean, you say at ease all the time, and it works both ways. He put you at ease. as well as it being like an ending of a show, it's just how he made everyone feel, and he just gave me so much confidence. And I've never been happier to design something.
You you won his heart, and he loved it. He loved it. And in between of this, I'm just gonna play a few more videos, okay, from some people who are watching the show too, and who've taken their time to share it with us. Hold your horses, everyone. Here we go. I'm going to play quite a few back to back.
The devastating news that our dear friend Kevin Campbell's passed away has really hit home hard. We must all send our deepest condolences and sympathies to his lovely family, and he's now at ease, sadly. Kevin, from the first time I met him, came across as a really nice, genuine man with good values. The first time we met him in the 12 Pins pub, he was at one with the fans, and you know, a brave thing to do as a personality, to come into a pub full of fans. And one thing, one little story, someone asked him for a selfie, and they didn't say please, and he made them say please. That was his values. He didn't like rudeness, and he made them say please before he let them have a selfie. And he gave me great confidence to do this sort of thing, where you get in front of a little camera and you speak up. And he always encouraged me and others to do the same. His views were forthright. He was kind, very generous with his time, and he will be sadly missed, not just by Arsenal fans and his family, but by fans of other clubs who have messaged me as well. So I love the man, and I'm really devastated that he's not with us, taken so young. So rest in peace, Mr. Kevin Campbell.
I just want to say that wasn't his garden back there. I just
No, it wasn't Rusty's garden.
I was about to say, I never knew where Hoggy lived.
No. Yeah.
That is
Here we
definitely
go.
not his garden, right?
It's not his garden. Here we go.
Unks, what can I say? We lost a legend. Heaven gained an angel. You get me? R.I.P. to a real legend, blood. You understand? Always showed me love, support, encouraged me. Came on the podcast whenever I saw him in person. The love was pure. The love was real. You get me? The first footballer from Arsenal on legendary status to show me love. You get me? So, you understand? All my love goes out to your family at this sad time. R.I.P. to a legend. Gone but never forgotten, blood.
Always supported troops, no matter what. Kev also played for other clubs, Forest, and as you know, Everton.
Kevin Campbell was a true friend. Not just a player, but a fantastic guy to watch. Role model, looked up to him. He helped me a lot with advice, how to deal with the media, and what can I say? He's going to be truly missed from Nottingham Forest fans and truly myself as well. Thank you, Kevin, for all the support that he gave me.
Was one of the good ones, appears on Dan's Race for Europe show on his channel often. Thank you, Dan, for reaching out to some of Kevin's former clubs.
Yeah, big up, Ben.
This one too. This one hit hard.
Hi, everybody. Just a few words about my friend Kevin Campbell, who tragically passed away this last weekend. There are not enough words to describe exactly what Kevin meant to me. Not only was he a fantastic footballer, but more importantly, one of the finest human beings ever to grace this earth. And I am very, very proud to be able to call him a very close friend. The world has lost one of its finest, and it will be much the sadder place without him. I will miss him dearly. Rest in peace, big man, and may the angels look after you. Love you, mate. Sending my deepest and sincerest condolences to Kevin's family at this very, very sad time. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. Much love, Thorny.
Bit going here. No matter what people thought, Kev embraced new media very early on. He understood that things were changing, but he also understood the connection between fans and players more than anyone who's ever played the game.
Rest in peace, Super Kevin Campbell. Thoughts are with the family, close friends, everyone that's been a part of, you know, his legacy and history. He was a very good man. First and foremost, he was a very good man. Always showed me love. I've had the privilege of knowing him for the last 5 years or so. And from day one, from day one, he called my name. I was walking to a game and he called my name. He scored in my first ever Arsenal game at Highbury. Imagine that, him and Righty. And then lo and behold, how many years later, we meet up going to a game. And from there, he was someone that came on my podcast and I had direct contact with. And he was always very welcoming and always positive, and he would always lend an ear and, you know, offer a well cared for opinion on things, whether it be football or whether it be private matters behind closed doors. But big up Soph as well for putting this together. I know you and Kevin had your own relationship as well, as I'm sure he had with many people, because that's just the sort of man he was. I know I was meant to keep this short and sweet, but I just thought, you know, since there is a bit of background there, to highlight the sort of person he was. Forget a footballer that bagged goals for Arsenal Football Club, you know, that won things with Arsenal Football Club. Forget that for a sec, you know. That's his legacy, yes, but as a man, top man. And I'll end with thoughts of with family, close friends, and everyone that had the pleasure of being around him.
I'm going to shift to another video, another young man at the time who Kevin had a massive impact on, Isaiah Rankin.
Kevin Campbell, what a man, what a character. My first meeting with Kev was as an academy player, travelling up to London Colney. After the game, we went into the canteen, sat down having a bite to eat. Kev come and joined all the academy players on the table, finding out about where they lived, what part of London they were from, how the game went, what position they played. And credit to Kev, the way the staff at Arsenal spoke about him, Terry Murphy, Pat Rice, George Armstrong, always spoke in glowing terms of Kev. They would take all the academy boys across to watch the first team train. Kev would always come across and make time for the academy boys and help us, give us pointers and tips in the game. And then later on, for me to go and work with Kev on podcasts with lead judges, Dan Potts, and he still remembered stories from back then. The team that won the FA Youth Cup, how Kev took us out after the Youth Cup final win. Thank you, Kev, for looking after all the boys and mentoring us. Super Kev.
And here's someone who Kev had a lot of time for, and she gets a lot of abuse online. Kev always supported her. And when we talk about Arsenal legends, she's absolutely one of those. Quadruple winner.
Oh, Kev, man, I can't actually believe that I'm doing this type of video, but I just wanted to share some amazing memories I've had with Mr. Kevin Campbell, and you were one of the first people I ever worked with, along with Mr. Ian Wright. that you know all too well. And I can't even explain how much you welcomed me with open arms. And we worked together a lot during COVID at Sky, and then at Gravity Media we started to do the ESPN show for the FA Cup in America. And I remember there was one particular night that it was quite dark, and you were making sure that the driver got me okay. It was on that long, people don't know Gravity Media will know it's along a long main road, quite dark at night time. So Kev made sure that I was getting into my car okay, and he was that type of gentleman, really. And I remember we used to have conversations about him waking up at 3, 4 in the morning to maximise his time and his days, and I just felt really inspired by him. And I know when these things happen, people can share amazing stories, but genuinely Kevin was one of the nicest guys I've ever met and had the honour of working with. So yeah, can't speak highly enough of him. I'm going to miss you, Kev, going to miss working with you, and I'll for sure be wearing a Dickie bow on Thursday in your honour. Love you, mate.
Thank you, Leanne. Absolute legend. Here's another one. He came on the show, but he also was a Premier League star in his own right, and he always admired Super Kev. Thank you, Shaka.
Kim was a big shock to everyone hearing of Kevin's passing, and I spoke to Kev maybe 6 months ago, joined him on the podcast, and it's then that I was reminded everything about Kevin Campbell, the man, the player, who he is, and the example that he was to so many players. Playing against him, he was as fierce a competitor as there was. There was never an easy game when Kevin Campbell was on the park. Yet, off it, he was an incredible gentleman, somebody who epitomized the competitive spirit on the football field, but understood that as a man, and particularly a black man in this world, his responsibilities were far broader. And he took on that challenge, and he was everything anybody could want. Football has lost a great man. He will be missed, but his legacy will live on. His example continues to shine bright. Rest easy, Big Kev.
Always from Shaka Hislop. From players who played with him, from fans who watched him, and from young fans who got to know him in a different way.
I didn't know Kevin Campbell, the footballer. I was too young. I don't really know Kevin Campbell, the person, in the way a lead judges or a Sophie or a Dan Potts would. But I had a little bit more experience with Kevin Campbell, the person. And all the tributes that I've poured out about, yeah, what a great player he is, but also what an amazing guy he was. My little experience tells me that is absolutely all true. He is someone who, in a world where fan media and social media and everything has sort of grown, there's been some pushback around all that. Not everyone loves, I suppose, the voice and platform that fans have, but Kevin Campbell embraced it and he loved it. From what I saw, he loved chatting to fans. And he always gave his time to every Arsenal fan. And while he was a former Arsenal player and a former pro, loved by every club he's been at, by the way, and every fan base, you have someone here who is listening to people who don't have the wealth of experience he had in the game or the knowledge, and yet he wanted to know what we thought, and he made fans' opinions and feelings and thoughts feel important, because they are important, but he captured that. And it made him so relatable, it made him so lovable, and he just really was such a leader for the Arsenal fan base and the Arsenal community and the Arsenal family. And he's going to be very, very, very missed.
The Arsenal family extends to all corners of the earth, and with me living in America, he had a very, very, very soft spot for American fans. We had plans for what to do here.
He was very excited about coming.
This is the one video that no one wants to make, right?
I've had the immense privilege of working with many legends on behalf of Arsenal America and Arsenal Football Club. And I can honestly tell you that Kevin Campbell was the only one who reached out to me because he wanted to know me. He was starting a Getting to Know You segment on his YouTube channel and wanted to know about supporters and fans and chose me for reasons unbeknownst to myself. But I didn't have to polish up on my football knowledge because he wanted to know how many kids I had and what I did for a living and what the experience was like traveling abroad and the experience of watching the fandom grow across the United States. And he offered all of those things about his life in kind. He was so giving of himself. He didn't stand behind VIP banisters for photo ops. He went out into the pubs and the crowds, and the only thing that he asked in return is that you offer your authentic self. He was witty. If you thought you were going to banter with him, you better bring it because he was fast on his feet. He was a gem, and on behalf of myself and my family, Arsenal America and Gooner Gals, he will be greatly missed, and his family is in our thoughts and prayers.
Hello, Squaddies, friends and family that had the privilege of knowing Super Kev. And I use the word privilege very intentionally because it was exactly that, a privilege to know such a wonderful, outstanding human being. But unfortunately, life could be cruel sometimes, and there's no way to prepare for a loved one loss. And those left behind or left having to deal with a new reality. And that reality could be devastating. I'm not a huge fan of cliches like he's in a better place now. I am, however, a huge fan of carrying on the memory of wonderful human beings. So that said, let's make sure that the future generations remember the name Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell. Let's continue to be kind, smile, love, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Kev, I'm always going to remember your kindness. It stood out in this damn world like an Arsenal fan wearing red and a sea of Spurs fan at their stadium, to say the very least. I love you, man. For those of us that are left behind, I guess, remember who you are, what you are, who you represent. In the wise words of Super Kevin Campbell, love is our currency. Make sure to tell your loved ones that you love them. We never know what tomorrow brings. At ease.
Squaddies, Demian here, sending you all a lot of love, especially obviously to Kevin's family. And to speak about Kevin in under a minute is impossible. It's like speaking about Kevin Campbell under a minute. You can't. But a few things come to mind. One of them is gratitude. Obviously, I'm grateful to you, Sophie, for allowing me to meet Kevin and have him in my life and have such a massive impact on my life. And obviously in the lives of all of us, podcasters, content creators, bloggers, all that. It has been amazing. I'm also very grateful for those that have reached out to you and to me and to all of us that know how much Kevin meant to us. Another word that comes to mind is envy, in a good way. I'm very envious of all of you that got to meet him, to hug him, to hear his voice in person, that resonating voice. I'm envious of all of you that got to work with him, that got to call him a dear friend. It's beautiful. I'm so envious in the most beautiful way. And lastly, I would say validation, in a way. As an immigrant fan, right, a non-English fan of Arsenal, somebody who's made this club such a massive part of their lives. Having been friends with Kevin and known him and speaking with him, albeit online, made me feel validated. It made me feel so much closer to the club, and it gave me this sort of cloak, this superpower that now anywhere I go, wherever I meet anybody Arsenal related, I can boast that I'm friends with Kevin Campbell. Even if it's Dennis Bergkamp or Vic Akers or you name it, Leah Williamson, I can say, yeah, okay, cool, great. I'm friends with Kevin Campbell. I was friends with Kevin Campbell. And that is priceless from a selfish standpoint. So anyway, this is way too long. I love all of you. And please know that if any of you need to talk, if you're sad, if you're anxious, if you're feeling grief and you need somebody to talk, please reach out. I'm here for you. Much love to all you guys. At ease.
whilst we all mourn Kevin, the footballer and the podcaster, I think it's important to remember too that Kevin was a father, he was a son, he was a brother, and I think it's important that we remember just how much of a loss he is to those people. I'm not sure Kevin realised just how much he touched people, just the impact he had on the Arsenal community, but I hope that his family can take some comfort in maybe just realising how much of an impact that he had in a short time here with us. So rest in peace, Kevin.
Just a couple more to go. I want to get them all in. Thank you, James.
Attention, Squaddies. At ease. We're going to miss the big man doing that. What can I say about Kevin? He's just genuinely one of the nicest men you'll ever get the pleasure of meeting, speaking to. And I really mean that. And we so often hear stories when it's almost too late and these great people are taken from us. But if you look at the outpour from every single person who knows Kevin, it's the same thing. The football, he was a wonderful footballer, but he was an even greater person. And he loved the Arsenal family, loved them so much, loved this podcast, loved you, Soph. And he was our family, and he'll be missed, that's for sure. But I tell you one thing, we'll never ever forget the big man. Not at all. Wonderful, friendly guy. Just has time for everyone, doesn't matter what walk of life you'll be from. He's, big hole to fill, and the world's a worse place because of it. But hopefully he's chilling now, resting comfortably and able to watch Arsenal push on from afar. We'll always be thinking about the big man, though.
Favourites, talented Gooner.
Hi everyone, hi Sophie. It's Dickie Bow Thursday, and the best way I could honour Super Kev is to wear a Dickie Bow in his memory. Sending all my love to you and all the Squaddies and all the wonderful Gooners out there, and God bless Kevin.
And here's another person whose Arsenal fandom was hugely impacted by Super Kev. And thank you, Magic, for making this happen.
Hi everyone, this is Amy Lawrence. Just wanted to touch base and send love and solidarity and thoughts and prayers to everybody who's thinking about Kev. Felt only appropriate to come and record this message right here. The marble halls, the famous steps up into the place that he and so many of us loved. Definitely brings back memories of seeing and hearing about a young Kevin Campbell, this teenage sensation who was breaking records in the youth team and was an integral part of the FA Youth Cup winning team, which is when I first got to come across him and get to know the wonder of the man as well as the footballer that he was. And the other reason this place means a lot when I think of Kev is that it was the space connected to an absolutely magnificent story that he told of that great day, 26th of May 1989, when he met up with Dave Rocastle at 5 o'clock in the morning in Brixton and got a lift here to meet the coaches. And I say coaches, I mean the bus, not George Graham and all of that lot. And Kev and Rocky helped Tony Donnelly, the kit man, to load all the stuff that needed to go to Anfield onto the bus, and off they went to have the greatest night of their footballing lives. When they got back at about 5 in the morning and helped unload everything from the buses, there was a guy, an Arsenal fan, staggering around, still absolutely intoxicated with whatever he'd been drinking and whatever he'd experienced in his footballing life. And he couldn't believe that he could see these guys there that had just been on the telly part of the greatest moment. So, Rocky, this bloke said, and Dave Rocastle and Kev Campbell sat here on the stairs with this guy and said, tell us about your night. How was it for you? And spent time and had time. And that sums up that soul that was in both of them. To be a people person, to give love as well as to receive it through this football club and just through humanity. So here we go. What a place and what beautiful people. Much love, everyone.
Thank you, Amy. I wanted to end with some of those messages from people in the Arsenal community who connect with Arsenal fans every single day. And Amy embodies that. And the AFTV guys who Kev supported all the way. And also thank you, Dan, for getting Vorney, because he meant a lot to Super Kev. And we've seen tonight the love for the Toffees. And I just... we've been on for 3 hours and 18 minutes. And I could go on for 7 hours and 18 minutes. But I wanted to give Danny a few minutes to just also talk about Kev real quick before we go and what he meant to him. He was there from the very beginning. Kev always said about Danny, a Bergkamp Wonderland. He's a real one. When he liked people, he'd always say he's a real one. And Danny, you were a real one to Super Kev.
Yeah, it's very, very sad that 3 players that I grew up, that are my generation, are now gone. Kev, Rocky and Alan Miller, who was an Arsenal goalkeeper who passed away a couple of years ago. When you have people that are our age that you grew up watching, when they're no longer here, it makes you think, oh, that's not fair. And all of us in here have recently had things happen in our lives that we'll probably never get over. And things like that, it just makes you wonder, what is the point in it all? And then I thought, rather than dwelling on that, I didn't really know Kev other than in podcasting. And when I did, I said, Kev, I'd love to do a show with just you and me, go way back to your first days at Arsenal, go through your entire career. And he said, yeah. So for 2 years, I've been writing the stuff, getting the notes. I'm terrible at getting stuff done. And now I can't do it because he's not here. So I thought I'd share with you just a couple of minutes of the notes that I've got that I was going to talk to him about, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
When I first started supporting Arsenal, or getting into going to the Arsenal, 86, 85, I was fascinated by stats and history and data. And when I'd go, I'd get last year's Arsenal football yearbook. And I saw there was this young man in 86, 87, scored 32 goals in 44 games for the Arsenal at all levels. And I thought, very early on, I realised if you're going to win at football, you need to score goals. And later on, I realised there's a lot more to it. But I was fascinated with the young players that would get the goals. You had Isaiah Rankin on earlier. He was another one who was a very promising young man, scored loads of goals. But then 87, 88, people talk about the fact that Kevin Campbell scored 59 goals that season. But what they don't tell you, it was in 49 games. If you had a player now, I think somebody said it earlier, who was at the age of 18, 19, 20, who scored 59 goals in 49 games. Even in the under-18s league, 36 goals in 22 league games. That is phenomenal, and not enough is mentioned about that. On Wikipedia doesn't say it. And even in the FA Youth Cup that they won, he scored 12 goals in 9 games. I just think, like I think Perry was saying, that they brought Kev up to the first team for training, not just for his goal scoring prowess, but because what he could do to defenders. And watching him run around the pitch. And one of my favourite pictures, I don't know if you've got it, Mike, is Kev standing there upright and the steam is circling above the top
Oh,
of
I
his
love
head.
that picture.
That
I've
is,
shown that picture a lot. It's the best. Yeah.
When people say, what's your favourite Kev moment? That photo there is one of my favourite ones.
I'll post it on the community page and on the Twitter page. I will do that. That's a great picture.
Then Perry was saying that he went out on loan. He scored 9 goals in 16 games for Leyton Orient in Division 4. Then he came back to the Arsenal, and then he played pre-season in 88, 89, 90. He scored 5 goals in 7 games. He did so well. They sent him out on loan to Leicester. He scored a load of goals for Leicester. And then he come back to Arsenal, and he scored 2 goals in 15 league games as a young man. But then some of the other things I wanted to speak to him about is, what was his thoughts on this Jumbotron when Campbell came on and he scored? It would go Super Campbell, as in S-O-U-P. Did he have any say in that? Because I always thought that was a little bit cheeky and a little bit, was it embarrassing? But knowing Kev, he probably loved it and he embraced it. But the other thing, if you can, go to YouTube, go and find interviews with Kev about his time at Trabzonspor. I'm a Trabzonspor supporter.
But he thought that was so amazing that you love Trabzonspor as much as you did.
I do. And it's not been a happy life. Had the league stolen off us once by bribery in the Turkish league. But he was saying in one of the videos, the 12th game of the season when he'd signed for them, we've all seen the Galatasaray stuff, Welcome to Hell. It is a cauldron of hate and screaming and shouting. It is not somewhere you go and play well unless you are really talented. They went there. Trabzonspor had a goal disallowed. Then Galatasaray got a penalty that was no way a penalty. Kev went on to score a hat-trick in that game, had a goal disallowed, had a penalty taken off of him, and they won 5-3. And then even the Galatasaray fans applauded him. And then he was talks about stories like you were saying, so for about 30,000 people turning up for the training game. And he went, I'm going out, don't worry about that. And he looked at it, went, I think I'll stay here for the night. And it happened again, but he managed to get in his car, get through them, because I think it might have been after he'd scored against Galatasaray, and they loved him. Looking back on it, I think it was a misunderstanding about why he left there, but he was doing brilliant. The goals that he scored, but if you can go and it's very bad footage, but go on YouTube, look for Galatasaray 3, Trabzonspor 5, and just breathe in what a magical player he was. And I think some people have said that he didn't play for England, but he was the kind of player that England needed. Fast, big, and would rough up your defenders. He could have done a job for England. He should have had 10, 15, 20 caps, much like Geordie Armstrong and much like Steve Bold and a few other players that never got to play for England that were Arsenal players. And makes me sad, but Kev wouldn't want us to be sad. Kev would want to look back on the goals that he scored and the time that he had and the friends that he made and the clubs that he played for. And one show that I did with you, Soph, I said, my mate Dean's watching. He's an Everton fan. I took him to the Champions League final because all my Arsenal mates couldn't be bothered. And he stopped the show and he said, hello, Dean. Something about being an Everton fan. And Dean sent me a message after and went, my God, that was amazing. And he showed his dad, and that made Dean's week, his month, his year, because he loved Kevin Campbell for what he did, where he come back on loan from Trabzonspor to Everton and scored 9 goals in 7 games. And like you were saying earlier, he saved Everton from getting relegated. We've never been relegated from the Premier League, and that's down to Kev.
Exactly.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Brilliant,
man.
Danny. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Danny. Just quickly,
This
so
was-
I know. Oh, go on. No, go on.
No, I was going to say this was young Kev. And young Kev looked like 28-year-old Kev there. If you look at this picture, he's the guy in the tracksuit if you're looking at your computer screen on the left side. I put these up earlier, but this is when he was first starting out as a number 9. And I wanted to share this too earlier. This is the day he signed for the Arsenal with his mum and his sister. It meant the world to him. And he went on from that day and those days to hold the championship. We joked about his hair. He loved getting a haircut. Oh my goodness, did he love getting a haircut. And he became a champion of England, champion of Europe, double cup winner, on the front of the Arsenal programme, ads for the Arsenal. We were laughing about the old telephone lines the other day. Got to meet Nelson Mandela. This was one of his proudest days. He had dinner with Charlie George and Frank McClintock last year, and he loved it. Became a broadcaster, representing with class no matter what he did, who he was representing, what channel he worked on. He always was class. Dickie Bow Thursday. today and will be every day for us from here on in. He loved his Dickie Bows. This was one of the last times I saw him in person at Sky Sports. He loved Vinny. Vinny's wearing his Dickie Bow today. He loved Highbury Squad and the Squaddies. He loved wigs. I don't know what it was about wigs, but he loved them. I've got a picture of Judges and Potsy in a wig as well. When Saliba's song was created, he was such a joker. It was unbelievable what a joker he was. And he was our Super Kev. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Sophie, we love you. Lee, we love
Sophie.
you.
Thank you to everyone.
Just
Thank
quickly
you,
say,
Dan,
Sophie.
Dan, what
Just
did
very
you want to
quickly.
say, babe? Go on.
Just really quickly, because I know we do and definitely need to wrap up. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that got back to me straight away to allow their messages to be shared. I think it's been an amazing part of the show. Really think it's been a good ending. I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I suppose, like I said earlier, when I messaged Kevin, they got back straight away. He must have been looking down because everybody got back to me straight away, and that just proves the man that he is. I messaged Isaiah Rankin. Isaac got back straight away. He are done. This is for you. Turkish, Troops, Kenny, Ken, Ross, James, all of them just said, "There you go, mate. Absolutely." And that for me is massive. What also is massive is Dor and all the Forest fans. Yep, there you go, Dan, straight away. Vorney, massive Everton fan. I met Vorney through Kev. Unbelievable gentleman. And straight away, he go, really struggled to do that video. I had to send it to me a couple of times because he was breaking down doing it, bless him. So unbelievable. Massive thank you to those people. And I'm kind of in a situation on my channel where I have a lot of fans on. And I think something that Lee and I spoke about that was really kind of overwhelming was how many people that were actually not just upset by Kev's news, but were actually thinking about their loved ones, and the amount of messages that I got, that I know you got, Soph, that Lee and most of the people on this panel that's been on tonight has got, thinking of them was really helpful. But what was quite amazing was that I had Wolves fans, Leicester fans, West Ham fans, Spurs fans, Liverpool fans, Man United fans. Kevin never played for any of those clubs, but the people messaged me because they shared a platform with him on my channel, on your channel, on Lee's channel, and they were able to meet him. And that speaks absolute volumes. So that was all I wanted to say.
I'm so grateful to you, Dan, and thank you for those messages. That's exactly how I wanted to end the show, was with people that Kevin touched and talked to, the community, the YouTube community that he saw and embraced early. I want to thank Stephen for everything he's done for us, from designing our shirts and doing stuff for Kev. And we're going to have more opportunities to talk, Stephen, but he loved you. You know, he loved you.
I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it.
You gave your time, and we're going to do something special, and keep an eye out for it, but it's going to be Kev centric, and we'll let you know when that happens, and it's all going to be for charity. Danny, what you say and what you do as an Arsenal fan, you gave me my first opportunity. Kev loved talking to you because of what you just said and what you did. You understand the club, you understand players, you just get it. You're a very special human being. Andy, thank you. You and Mike spearheaded the way for Arsenal American content. What you've done and how American fans look at the club means everything, and Super Kev recognized that. And I'm really sad that our plan for the States isn't going to come to fruition, but maybe when I have a little bit more strength, I'll find a way to make that happen. Albert, you're a very special young man. Kev loved you. Thank you for being patient and hanging out. He supported you no matter what. And he wanted you to thrive, and you got to keep going with your channel. That's what he would want. He was very proud of you, especially as a young black man in the game. Magic, I couldn't have done this show without you. You took on the burden of the content and reaching out to people like Dan, you two, my wingmen. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. You're a very special person. Kev loved you. He gave you that nickname, God damn it, Magic Mike. You carry that you carry that forever and ever. I never call you Mike anymore. I call you Magic. It's just the way it is.
I told my mom I'm no longer Mike. And you know, it's all Super Kev. I wear it proudly.
Lee.
You got this, Soph. You got it. You got this, Soph. A lot of love for you.
I held it together. Lee, thank you.
No. Thank you. Thank you. Like, you know, for me,
You're in the dark days. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, you know, it was for me the honor of being Kevin's mate. That's the biggest thing that I'll always have. That I'm very, very privileged and lucky that Kevin would call me Lee, my mate. You know, and I'm blessed to have had.
I'm so grateful for having you over the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, we've gone through it. We've gone through it. But listen, Kevin would want us to enjoy life and
absolutely
and go on and do all things that we need to do in life. And that was the one thing.
I miss him already. I miss him so much. I have no idea, if I'm being honest,
I know it's
what the Highbury squad will look like going forward, but I know from his
Well, you've
words
always
he
got-
wanted it to continue.
and you've all got everyone on here will always have your support for it. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
100.
Because at the end of
For
the day,
the early days, whoever was involved with this channel,
you and Kevin done
everybody who's
a special thing.
participated.
Is that you've done a special
It
thing?
started off as one thing, but it evolved into something completely different.
It's the Arsenal family.
And during that time of COVID, where people needed something, we needed them too. And I just want to thank everyone who spent time with us this evening. And our hearts go out to Kevin's family first and foremost. And Squaddies, love you. Kev loved you. He loved you so much, and he was very proud of this show. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. And you know what, Martin? It is the players. I'm going to finally admit it.
We salute you, Kevin Campbell.
Yeah.
At ease, Squaddies. At ease. I'll see you soon. We'll all see you soon. Thank you to everyone who's involved in the show tonight, to all the Arsenal community. Hit it, Mike.
Sophie, Squaddies, this is the final Kev Says of the season. So, salute you, and at ease, Squaddies.
Thank you so much for coming on so we could produce a show for the Squaddies. Squaddies, got to say, for those who have joined us, thank you for joining us. Always remember, I always say it, tell your loved ones you love them. Make sure you do not ignore them. You look after them. And even if it's just one quick text to make sure they're okay, send it, because it does make a difference.
Absolutely.
And all I could say after that, Squaddies, is at ease, Squaddies. At ease, and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. At ease.